Discount Robotnik Head. I don't think this plant life would be alright when it's close to this toxic ooze. Looks like one of the annoying B-movie memes got together with Donald Duck's evil twin. Can Dr. Quack even breathe in this thing? Just what railroad-style games need. Sexual innuendos. This giant vacuum machine is sucking up the books very slowly. I don't think it would suck up every book. Laylee is a jerk to Yooka by having a bigger towel. How can Trouser even slither around when his tail is through his pants like this? I'd imagine it would be near impossible. Trouser was probably a jerk to our heroes. You eat butterflies for health because now we're ripping off Spyro. And they're talking like they want to be eaten. That's Lispus. Yeah, Laylee, say out loud that you didn't give him the quills. Something about the pages remind me of the creepy Cinnamon Toast Crunch commercials. These pages need to hide from capital B, which is why this one's just hiding out in the open. So cages have no keys to them. Then what's with this keyhole? Did I mention the loading screens are kinda choppy? This also goes for Banjo-Kazooie and Mario 64, but are these worlds even part of the Yooka-Laylee world? Or do these books contain portals to another dimension? This game has some pretty breathtaking graphics. Boo! If the pot melted your skin off, how are you still alive? Oh right, cartoon physics. How do we know this is a girl? Since this pagey has cuts in it, I think it would be affected by the substance in the pot. There's no reason to go into these holes because you just end up coming out of another one right next to it. Is it even possible to jump while rolling? This guy's name is Rextro and was apparently from the 80s, but how did he have that name? I don't think retro games were called retro back then. He can keep his gigantic head in the air above his tiny body like that. That's Blockist. Man, how many times am I going to send that? I'm not sure we're friends yet, more like acquaintances. I can barely read some of this text. This game had awfully good graphics for something that's supposed to be a retro game. The cart's controls take some getting used to. Also, it kinda reminds me of Top Ride from Kirby's Air Ride, which was the weakest of the three main gameplay modes in that game. What's the point of this first place sign if we're not racing anyone? They give little indication when the reverse controls effect is going to wear off. Even worse if you're turning when it happens. Not only is it possible to stand on clouds, clouds can even wear helmets without the helmets falling through them. Nimble the Nimbus? That name makes no sense for reasons I stated in similar situations in some of my past Everything Wrong with videos. Are these holes these sentient hoops' mouths? How do they not starve if their food goes right through them? Do they even need to eat? What do you think it's supposed to be? It's a pagey that's been ripped. Isn't it obvious? Hints have to be in rhyme cliché. How we fully repaired this pagey and made him look good as new, I'll never know. Ooh, that was a sick burn there. Are you sure this isn't only useful against a giant enemy crab? Of course there's a fart joke in the script. Why does Vendy have to look like Mrs. Potato Head's freakishly deformed cousin? Well, at least she's not broke madame for Bowser's Inside Story. You think we won't find that suspicious? Molly Cool. Dr. Puzz must have been a rejected Splatoon character. And how does she feed this fish in her helmet? Dr. Puzz doesn't take offense to this racist statement. Whoa, even the game's aware of the similarities. Dr. Puzz doesn't hear that. Yep, these two are extremely racist. This game's transformations, while not bad, aren't as cool as they were in the Banjo games. So is this a female flower that's in love with us? Or is this a male flower who's in love with us and thinks we're a girl? It's hard to tell. Plants can hop. Who knew? Too early for what kind of thing? This was enough to convince Shoots-a-Lot to fess up. Yooka is casting a shadow when he's already in the shade. Why does Lady Leap-a-Lot put the pagey in a cage if it means nothing? Unlike Banjo-Kazooie, this game only has 5 worlds, and I bet it's because of how you have to expand the worlds. Why bother? Why not just have the worlds stay the same size and give us more? As a matter of fact, sometimes I feel like I'm spending more pages than the ones I'm getting back in the new expanded worlds. Game Freak hasn't sued these guys for a name like Butterfree. If Blatzo couldn't breathe with his pagey lodged in it, how did he not die? That's racist. 36 seconds of showing us the expanded world. I did not expect a Shovel Knight cameo. Laylee, if you hate it when you end up in another game, you should probably get ready for when you guys join Brawl Out in about a year. When rolling, you use up energy even when you're not moving. Rampo is awfully cheap for the first boss. Having to face this boss on a slant while curled up is unforgiving. I doubt Yooka can spray water that far. Eevee just tried to avoid us by flying into us. Of course, when you have a sentient cloud that rains, you make pee jokes. and this game spams it up the butt. So how about I send every single P joke they make in this one conversation? How does this door go all the way down here? Is there some kind of elevator in that cave that the game won't show us? Okay, there goes another sin subtraction. Kartos has a Robotnik mustache. These Kartos challenges are actually pretty cheap because of the strange perspective and how you need to jump nearly perfectly. The boosting is also kind of inconsistent. The game's pretty long, so I wouldn't say in no time. Are you telling me Dr. Quack's helmet can lift this TV on it without breaking the helmet? Main villain turns out to be working for an even bigger bad cliche. These quiz rooms mysteriously disappear after you clear them. I guess you do still get to technically go against Dr. Quack, but you still never get to fight him. It's kind of hard to tell if that was supposed to be a pun or not. Just like so many forms of media, this game forgets that bread is actually bad for ducks. Is there really a reason he can't just kill us if we answer the questions wrong? Hey, wait a minute! Why doesn't Dr. Quack take down these platforms protecting us from the acid instead of giving us bonus points for answering really quickly?
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah!
I've seen Yuka's size comparison to Clara, a human skeleton, earlier, and Yuka seems just as big. So how will anyone be able to play these arcade machines? Even Capital B seems barely big enough. You get nothing for winning the arcade games in Ivory Towers. Discount Tetris blocks. What is a pagey doing behind an arcade screen? I'm pretty sure this snow would leave a big mess on the floor and ruin a lot of the machines, especially when the snow melts. This song is so beautiful to listen to. I wish this game was out by the time I made the revision to my winter themes list, because this would have definitely been on it. And it's proof that while the soundtrack's not as good as it was in Banjo-Kazooie, it's still something worth removing since. Why does the ice make squeaky toy noises when we walk on it? Yuka isn't leaving any footprints in the snow. Yeah, I know, that's a nitpick. Oh, hi Olaf. How can Normie not pass through here? He's a ghost! Bats and snakes can't survive cold temperatures. Bats have to hibernate, and snakes have to dig deep into the ground until spring. Gotta agree with Laylee. Who would name a street after this scumbag? Why are there vases in a snowy area? Sure, why not rip off the platforms with faces that only move when you stand on them from Yoshi's Island DS? This is really tricky. Oh, now we've got hypothermia. I love how we're in a winter wonderland, yet this grass is still nice and green. Laylee is a jerk to Clara. Clara isn't freezing when she has no skin. Planker can bend back and forth like this without snapping. Was he made from the rubber tree that must have been used to make the fake bird in A Bug's Life? Planker is a jerk to us. VD can move even though he's frozen. While breaking these ice chunks off this ice statue of capital B, we somehow didn't break any pieces off it. Mixing these cannonballs makes us much heavier, yet we can still jump just as high. Also, that's not a good idea. Didn't our mother ever tell us not to put our tongue onto metal in the winter? She's as good as Yuka and Cornelius' mother at that. So coating ourselves in honey will keep us from sliding down these ice ramps, but wouldn't that just make us stick to the ice? This ice key was able to turn this metal lock. Of course, a Lost Woods type area that's annoying to navigate. Our shadow goes through this platform, and our platform doesn't even cast a shadow. Acid doesn't leave behind any drops on the platform when it rises out. I ordinarily don't mind ice puns, but that ice elf pun definitely gets us in. What do tans have to do with being quiz hosts? You gotta be kidding me. You really expect us to count all those tiles? Snook or Whaley? Are you sure this minigame wasn't from Majora's Mask? We interrupt this game to bring you Donkey Kong 64. Also, couldn't they come up with cooler animations for them being destroyed? No, this isn't bad footage I got. The frame rate's actually this bad at this part. They must have brought an unused Super Mario Kart level into this game. Even though this ice block is surrounded by fire, it doesn't melt until it actually touches fire. Bree's block looks more like some weird napkin than a block here. Now that he's smaller, the projectiles he shoots are actually bigger than he is. Even though we've cured Bernie, we barely see any fire inside him. It's Rusty Bucket Bay all over again. Also, why would these pipes even be spinning? Ice honeycombs. Apparently, Rextor is also a master poet. I bet this must actually be torture for these sentient walls to have to keep going into this acid or whatever it is. This wall looks possible to jump over even though it really isn't. These berries are awfully far away from Feedy, who we're supposed to feed them to. What, are these guys Bernie's evil brothers? Please tell me this isn't consuming air even in a cutscene. Do these statue things have to breathe? I'm used to saying it like snowplow, so saying the word spelled like that feels a bit off to me. Who knew that snowplows could jump? This ice is pretty sturdy. It can support the weight of a giant snowplow. Wow, the witch snowman really is a witch. He somehow knew we found his head even though we're in a completely different room. Honestly, this guy kind of gives me the creeps for some reason. Now I feel like we just helped Gruntilda. Did we just dive into this area and all the water drained? We're learning Buddy Bubble, and this one wasn't created by SpongeBob. Another fart joke. Did you really have to make this spell P? There's not much context to this joke other than, haha, it's inappropriate. Crazy Kirkhope says he's free now, but then just stays in one place. Moody Maze Marsh is the most difficult world to navigate. Wow, look at that great detail with the swamp. No, seriously, it almost looks like a real swamp. I don't know if this is a poop joke or not, but just in case. Heidi's laugh somehow makes me feel uncomfortable. Maybe I have a dirty mind, but this laugh sounds almost naughty. I don't know for sure if the game is pulling the old prize out in the open trick and thinking we'll fall for it, but I'll just send it just to be sure. Frogger-Laylee. How do these feathers floating above these logs not fall into the swamp? Because Nomi's covered in fire, he looks harder to collect than he really is. Sausage features. These guys don't even have doors. There's no option to have all these tonics equipped at once. Did you really expect to find gold inside mushrooms? Wally doesn't respond to Laylee saying he has an annoying voice. Laylee, we can see if he has pages in his basket or not. This cheap maze can stun lock you. The people creating this maze left a way out. I thought they didn't want any trespassers to survive. Laylee is a huge jerk to Ollie. Where did this giant trap come from? Yooka, despite being a chameleon, is apparently so fat that he can sink this massive slope. I guess this also goes for the Mario series, but how does Yooka go up through these pipes? I'll never understand what's up with these villains and actually making their stages possible to beat. Wait, is this hoop going through the ramp? And now one's going through the platform. These must be ghost hoops. Actually, that would make sense considering where we are. Thanks, I kinda would've guessed that. Is Yooka even strong enough to pull this block? I'd imagine that his tongue would get ripped off first. Man, if I had $1 for every time a character from a Banjo-Kazooie game, or this game, mistook us for people who have certain jobs that'll help them, I'd be so rich I'd make Scrooge McDuck jealous. Meanwhile, I wonder what the real gardener would say when finding out that his job's already been done. I see what the time limit's for, but why would we need to be timed on simply planting seeds? This part. Good luck timing your moves just perfectly, or the seed will keep getting destroyed. And this is where the cartridge challenges become unforgiving. Well, it looks like this game is not above wasting memory space for the sake of a joke. Hey, there's this great new invention called recording shows. Tentacle doesn't go blind from this. Why does he keep revealing his weak spot? This is actually horrific. Especially since we even see him blink without his eyeball. To be fair, I don't know how a cart would be able to clean the marsh. Why would you set switches to clean the marsh all the way across these hard to reach areas? Jollyfish this page out of the clogged pipe, yet it's completely clean. I see the designers of these sewers took some inspiration from the entrance to Majora's Mask's pirate fortress. Really? You don't seem like you have any ribs in you other than the ones that Pages already have. Also, Pages can apparently breathe underwater now. They don't make it clear enough where you need to use these fire berries. Who would put up an arcade machine in the middle of a swampy area? Why is it outside anyway? When it rains, the machine is ruined. Well, that hurts. Well, it sounds like the song was unused from Tangled. Or Brave. I think the transformation of a school of piranhas is a pretty awesome idea for a transformation, and I enjoy using them. However, what happens when we transform back? Do the others just stop existing? And raising and lowering yourself with X and L2 is a real problem. Why couldn't they have us raise and lower with buttons that make more sense like L2 and R2? Characters trapped under an object underwater cliche. Well, this moment just got needlessly dark. I just realized something. Why can't Feedy find his own berries instead of making us get some for him? Backhanded compliment. Actually, Yooka has a point. How did Clara survive in here? Repeatedly using the sonar explosion can get kinda annoying. Well, here's a glitch that can happen. I mean, I don't know how many people it's happened to, but the fact that I found this while looking for footage is deserving of a sin. Why would a health upgrade be at the bottom of a swamp? Who dropped it in here? I don't know about you, but I was taught that water conducts electricity. So why isn't this electricity going farther? Discount Casinopolis. Having to turn invisible every time you want to come in can get tedious. Capital B isn't surprised we got in here despite the doors that don't let us in. The game seems like it was the intention to make Capital B's disguise obvious, but why isn't he encouraging us to bet all of our pages? Drowser is also a jerk to Sonic. Capital B lets butterflies in the casino. The slot bandit makes the laser sound like much more of a problem than it actually is. These coins can be a nuisance to get. I was always really bad at slots, so I'm giving a cent for reminding me of my frustration. Hey, why are these slot machines free? Aren't you supposed to pay to use them? Capital B doesn't know how to slots correctly. Also, man, these slot wheels spin slowly. Capital B really doesn't know how to do this. These people actually let Dr. Puzz bring her giant laser into the arcade. I don't really see how a helicopter will be a fitting transformation for a casino. Flowers grow in grassy areas, snowplows are used in snowy weather, fish are found in water, and ships are award used for giant boats and spaceships. I don't see the connection here. What's with all these Egyptian writings in the casino? I know people drop coins in fountains to make a wish, but to waste game tokens? How did Capital B expect people to reach the machines all the way up here? Stealing. Also, it sure was nice of Capital B to decide to paint the out of order ones blue. It's like he somehow knew they'd be out of order and decided to paint them that way. I don't want to help a robber steal something. Does Lady Lootsalot even want to get to the vault? She doesn't even tell us where it is and puts a time limit on it. Why? Heidi's a nuisance to find here. These people are ignoring the rule of how handrails have to protect you from falling into the water. Being pushed too far back is frustrating since you can't see where the heck you're going. And why is this course so long? Of course, we have to do this part again for full credit. Easy? Yeah, right. Well, here's a slot machine that was programmed to troll us. Yooka doesn't get cut by this glass he's rolling through. How did Capital B's minions reach here if there's so many traps in the way? This is funny, but we wouldn't really get robbed since we don't really lose anything for losing this game. That's funny too. But this thing isn't even plugged in. He doesn't disqualify you for breaking this last rule, which, mind you, is still a bad rule to trust him on, but yeah. This golf ball is way too big for everyone. How will anyone golf with that thing? I'm pretty sure these tokens were bigger than that. I'm a reflected my laser! Also, I don't understand how turning invisible makes that possible. Why would you write the combination right next to the door that you need to use it on? The series of combination puzzles seems to go on forever. Looks like Konami works at this casino too. Conveniently, this slot machine knows how to raise the ramp. For some reason, I feel like taking 3 sins off here. Using the reptile rush to knock down chunks of this stack of glass blocks doesn't cause the other blocks to fall and break. Some of these electric net things must have lost their way in the Crash Bandicoot universe and ended up in this game's universe. It's nearly impossible to jump over the barrel without hitting the bee. This minecart segment has got to be the worst. This is where you can run into another of those annoying glitches, where your jump will be disabled. It's actually amazing that we got Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, which was awful by the way, and not even worth sitting. Anyways, I'm adding another 5 sins. Great, now we're fighting a boss on these tracks? I can't imagine how much worse it would be if you had to do the minecart segment all over again if we lost on this boss. It's extremely irritating having to dodge his attacks before hitting him. And that annoying left just makes me want to toss this thing into the recycling bin. You know, Banjo-Tooie had boss health meters, so why can't this game? Why does Inept have to crouch whenever it's trying to ram us? That shows some bad programming on Capital B's part. Are you kidding me? This fight still isn't over? And I can't believe I had to give 6 cents to this boss alone.
Yeah.
I don't think this is where we'd go if we wanted to have fun. Wow, look at that! The most broken move in the whole game, while still not as fun as it was in Banjo-Kazooie. Though it would be more fitting if we got in the final level, especially considering what said level turns out to be. It can't be more toxic than Emperor Lemon's memes and fanbase. Or that stupid Space Jam DVD song meme. What's this toilet doing here? Why would Capital B have it all the way through here other than to inconvenience himself? It's not even big enough for him. It sure was nice of Capital B to put a fun slide segment in his lair, but it's somewhat slow. Super Yooka Galaxy. The gravity has not decreased on some foreign planet. Well, you know what they say, Trouser. If someone tries to touch you in a place or a way that makes you feel uncomfortable,
that's no good.
Okay, in space, I'd imagine that balloons would pop right away. How can normal-looking plants grow in space? Yooka doesn't get mutated eating this toxic waste. This butterfly's a pain to get because it keeps flying by the berries, causing us to repeatedly get them instead of it. Running around in this area gets a bit monotonous. I understand this water is like space water or whatever and we can't touch it, but what's with its design? Is there glass in the water? This really is Super Yooka Galaxy. The ship, while not a bad transformation, feels kind of underwhelming for a final transformation. Paige's paper blood isn't rushing into his head. Why did they think this would be funny? I mean, I give more sins if Mooney didn't act like we didn't warn him, but this still makes me feel uncomfortable. Also, since we destroyed a moon, that means we just ruined that moon's planet. Planet's face was brown in her icon, but now her face is purplish blue. And they make this even worse after telling us that Planet, the new boss we face, who was Mooney's girlfriend, is now called Interstellar World Widow. What the heck, game? For a big boss you fight in outer space, this fight doesn't feel all that climatic. I'd expect more when you're fighting a planet figure. Now she even says she's been alive for billions of years, making me feel even more uncomfortable about killing her boyfriend. Man, how many sins am I going to give for this boss alone? Sometimes you won't be able to rotate the camera fast enough in this minigame. Why are these lasers moving up and down? Wouldn't it be better security to just have them stay there at all times? That is definitely hilarious. But didn't the pagey back at Travel Stack Tropics say he was unable to do that? How is this water normal water but the water outside isn't? Also, there's pretty much nothing in here, so what's the point of it? Would an arcade machine even be able to work in space? Or would the vacuum of space cause it to combust? I didn't ask for a Flappy Bird in this game, especially when it seems to have Silver Surfer elements in it. Then again, it's still somewhat easy to get the high score anyway. Why would Sir Scoffsalot eat a key? We are jerks to Lady Leap-A-Lot. How do you know that under that armor he's not a scarecrow or a lion? Or a lost girl and her dog trying to get back to Kansas? These cone enemies almost look like Mr. Potato Head. Spinning this wheel doesn't turn the ship. So he's afraid of shadows but not afraid of the dark? Because logic. This is funny, but it's also really lucky that the captain wasn't like, wait, I don't have a crew member named Billy, you liar! This is almost as stupid as when Shrek called random names when disguised in Shrek 2. If this captain has an irrational fear of shadows, why does he have a burning berry plant? And why does he have these lights on? Raising the water level somehow lifts this heavy looking object. We make ourselves metal in order to win this minigame, so we're cheating. What's with this frog guy? He looked feminine and now looks male with his icon. Laylee doesn't take offense to the frog calling her nose ugly. You'd think that for enemies that are based off brains, that these cosmic corpulents would know better than to stand on the course, allowing them to get bulldozed by the golf ball. Couldn't they just teleport us back to the top if we missed the ball? This golf frog guy was actually holding a pagey captain. Ah! Lava! Wait, you mean that's safe to walk on? Well, couldn't you have made that clearer? So now Yuka's a Jedi. Yes, we actually helped someone in the wrong. What the heck is this? We can see the outside of Retro through the walls? I thought video games didn't have this problem anymore. Looks like these guys borrowed the space bathroom from Super Paper Mario. This is too disgusting. Disgusting isn't the same as funny, especially when you actually have to roll through poop in a kid's game. Just like in Banjo-Kazooie when you get flushed, I have to give 10 cents here too. Oh, so now the gravity decides to be lighter? In a minecart segment that you would expect to be fast-paced? Unfortunately, Kartos does have to be associated with the painfully boring and generic Impossible Lair. If this pagey's blowing around the wind, yeah, it's gone. Hey, Blessed Tui, you're in the wrong video game. And why are you a cannon? Shouldn't you be a giant blue turtle with cannons on your shell? How are we supposed to know what this stupid metaphor means? Pushing this ice cube into this bright sunlight doesn't melt it. Apparently making a few bubbles inside tubs is enough to get him to start working again. And of course, we need another fart joke. Man, what's with all these comedies using hot tubs as an excuse to make fart jokes? This is, no joke, the fourth form of media I've seen to make a fart joke with hot tubs. I blame Lion King 1.5. Oh yeah, this one's totally fair. This legend is frustrating to grab at times. You still get these points even after you run out of time. This entrance looks so awesome! I'd expect the song inside the Velocity Terminal to sound more big and exciting though. They got people's hopes up when saying the last quiz was the final one. Though, to be fair, one of the loading screens kind of spoiled it. Dr. Quack is a duck with teeth. I feel I should remove a sin for this. Don't know why. What makes these bees less anthropomorphic than capital B? Attacking him like this looks disgusting. Okay, that was funny. If capital B can destroy parts of the floor like this, why can't he destroy the entire floor so we have no room to stand? These bees can sting us without killing themselves. We see him falling into the acid, but then he falls onto the ground. This plot twist confuses me. So Dr. Quack was actually using capital B this whole time and he was the boss, but they're actually working for a group of bosses? I don't get it. Laylee spelled organization wrong. This party was for Blasto? After we did all that work? There's nothing funny about some horrible characters stealing all the credit for our hard work. I was just about to call Blasto one of my favorite characters in the game, but now we can kiss that goodbye. Not only are these credits way too long, but unlike Banjo-Kazooie's credits, which had a lot of interesting visuals during the credits, this one has nothing. Opening up on a dark and stormy night cliché. Look how gigantic this wave is that Link's boat's on. How does Link's boat stay intact for even a few more seconds after this? Ships have to get caught in shipwrecks even though shipwrecks aren't quite that common cliché. Not only does Link survive this, his cap doesn't blow off during the storm. Good thing Marin happened to be walking on the shores when this happened. This game's graphical style is kinda bizarre by Zelda standards. Don't worry, you'll probably get used to it, but I'm still seeing it for both that and the fact that I'd expect much better graphical improvements from something that's been upgraded from 8-bit all the way to the Switch. Windfish Egg had spots like a Yoshi Egg. This version has around 2 less scenes than the Game Boy version, but there are several songs in the game that I felt sounded better as 8-bit, this song included. The fact that this game was released shortly after Fire Emblem Three Houses, which took a while to beat, so this game's release delayed my plans of getting into Lady Edelgard's pants. I mean finishing every route of Three Houses. This game has a better reason to have Link sleep at the start than most Zelda games do, but I'm sinning it anyway. This is more of a sin on Melee, but looking at Marin here makes me realize that Melee got her hair color all wrong. Also, she's apparently a talented harpist according to the game's trophy description of her, but we never see her play once in this game. She doesn't even use it in Hyrule Warriors. As I've said in my Ocarina of Time video, Ocarina gets a lot of credit for what this game did first, which is saddening, not only because this game didn't get enough credit for that, but also because it somewhat feels like Ocarina is practically a fraud here, which is upsetting because that game's actually better than this. I don't know about you, but the fact that the top and bottom of the screen are blurred kinda bothers me. And Link walks pretty slow. How do you know you'll be lost later? And if you know you will, why can't you just take note of where you're going and make it easier to get back? Or do you like being lost? I do like the map system in this game, but I kinda liked it better in the Game Boy version because it showed what exact locations you were already at instead of filling out the entire location once you entered it. There are way too many kids here that say, I don't know why, I'm just a kid. It honestly gets kinda annoying. I'll just give an estimated guess on how many people say it and add as many sins as I think should be added, mainly because I don't want this game to have too few sins. How is this book not falling off the shelf like this? This ledge looks so pathetic to get onto. I mean, look, it's like half Link's height, yet we can't climb it, even when we get the rock's feather. This Octorok got stuck in the wall. How did a Gordo wash all the way up on this cliff-like area? This owl is more likable than Kaepora Gaebora, but I'm still setting him for the bad memories. So why are Gordos killable by Link, but not by Kirby, no matter what ability he has? It's very dangerous for this piece of fence to be missing right next to this well. See? Someone's heart fell out. Judging by the tree colors in the rest of the game, it seems like this game takes place in summer. So why are these trees almost yellowish? How are logs this big? Wobbuffet? This witch has been dreaming her whole life to be in the Hogwarts choir. Raccoon Pinball. Character thinks they had a dream where something happened, but it really did happen cliché. I don't hate the Guardian Acorn or the Piece of Power as much as most people do, but I will agree that the music can get kind of annoying, especially since it blocks out the game's great soundtrack, and it deserves even more sins because it doesn't sound as inspiring as it did in the Game Boy version. This trendy game is almost a joke. They couldn't have even had the Yoshi doll at the conveyor belt? Then again, to be fair, that probably would have been unfair. Trespassing. How are you talking? What does Chow Chow think we'd want with dog food? Also, she must have killed someone, judging by the skeleton. Look at the size of this cuckoo. It's as big as us. These fish are really annoying when you're trying to get this bottle. Alrira is a shy guy in person. So I guess he's a masked mimic in this game? Is it even safe for crocodiles to eat dog food? And is it okay for them to eat the cans? Not gonna lie, the fact that the lights turn off and on like this when going between rooms is kinda jarring. Discount Buzzy Beetles. They underestimate our intelligence by telling us what a key does. These sparks seem a lot like the ones in Super Mario Bros. 2, and if that's the intention, like with some of the Mario cameos in this game, then this is one that doesn't get talked about. Also, I have to send them for bringing back what practically haunted my childhood in Super Mario Advance when I was a kid. Stalforts are kind of a pain with how they jump like this. I know Link doesn't seem like a good jumper, but does he really need some fancy feather to gain the ability to jump? Was the Queen of Hearts once the ruler of this dungeon before she was kicked out? This game just threw a boss that rolls a giant steamroller at you as one of its first bosses. He's not too hard, but that's still pretty insane for a first boss. What is this mini-boss theme? I mean, it was somewhat repetitive in the Game Boy version, but it was still interesting. But what the heck is this? Oh no. Moldorm's back? Bowel's a jerk to us. Also, we're more believable than you are. We're humans while you're a talking owl. For some reason, I'm not a big fan of this song. Big Moblin just decides to charge even if you're not in front of it. Is it weird that Moblins, which are basically dogs, kidnapped a Bow Wow, which are also basically dogs? I am so mad that they removed the photographer mouse. And if this game thinks it can weasel its way out of the sins I would have given it if it was still here, then I'm just going to add the sins I would have anyway. Denpei has nothing in his hand, but then gives us these new chambers. Hey wait, how did he give us new chambers? Super Zelda Maker. But there isn't as much customization as you'd expect from this. Also, while I did like being able to create your own stages in Mario Maker, it also makes the game get dull after a while. And I bet I can probably assume the same about this one. I won't try it though because I don't want to take my chances. Speaking of which, Denpei's become a discount trickmaster from Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Apparently, Denpei's been keeping someone's heart here. This is awfully upbeat and easy to be playing at a graveyard. I still hate likes. How can Cheep Cheeps be in this shallow water? This music almost sounds like something from Metroid Fusion. We already got a compass in the last dungeon. Don't repeat yourself. Whoever made these warp holes must have taken too much inspiration from Legos. Yeah, this dungeon's map does not look like what's drawn here. Silly boo buddies, don't you know you're supposed to cover your face and hold still when we're facing you? How can we carry vases up ladders? How stupid do you have to be to tell us your weakness? I thought you had actually gotten smarter when you didn't tell us at the beginning of the fight like you used to. Really? Hopping mad? That's the best you could come up with? Even though this game came out after Link to the Past, part of the way this guy talks seems like a bit of a downgrade from Link to the Past. Is it just me? Why are you thanking us if you're mad at us? I understand it's a joke, but stupid characters should at least have logic to their stupidity. I guess I can understand how the little devil's supposed to be funny, but I wonder if he'd do the got your nose trick and actually think it's scary. Hasn't Madame Meow Meow learned anything from this incident? She still has her pet Bow Wow outside without watching him, which could potentially allow him to get stolen again. This game committed a crime that hasn't been done in many other installments. It required you to go back to a previous dungeon if you want to 100% the game, when most people would think you're completely finished with the dungeon. Richard doesn't have any of these frogs in containers, so he's going to get some kind of disease from them jumping on him while he's asleep. Actually, you look a lot like a prince, so it's easy to believe you live in the castle. You want us to get the golden leaf? Cool, it would be nice to be able to play as Tanuki Link. Oh wait, then Peter would get on her case. Okay, I do think trading sequences are rather enjoyable, but making it required beating the game? Jerk move game. How can the Mad Bomber dig this fast? The same reason this Dark Knight can fin the wall. Your attacks look like they barely do anything to the ball and chain trooper. Why does Richard have skulls in this basement? I'm disturbed now. How are these bushes able to grow over holes? Just like in Mario games, Bob-ombs commit suicide just to kill you. What do you mean, at last? The map didn't take that long to get. Link runs like one of the Charlie Brown characters. This swamp looks scary when you ram it. Something about the Slime Eyes design disturbs me when he's being split. Of course, Taran has to contribute to the idiot father cliche. And to think, I was expecting him to be a somewhat intelligent person when I first played the Game Boy version. Speaking of the Game Boy version, the music was synced up better in that version of the scene, since the first two notes were synced with him poking the hive. Backtracking is so monotonous until you get Mambo's Mambo. The Dream Shrine has a large amount of wasted potential. While it does have cool shading, it doesn't feel all that dreamlike. Well, at least it feels more dreamlike than Mario and Luigi Dream Team, and at least this time it doesn't drag on forever. Now we got the Ocarina, but that means Ocarina of Time was named after something that wasn't even from that game. I'm surprised it took this long for me to take off Sins, but with this lovely and romantic scene, I guess it's better late than never. You mean you'd make people have to support bestiality if they still want to be with, nice dream, Marin. And Link just saw Marin's dress. This arrangement of the overworld theme is another remix that I think is somewhat annoying. Thank goodness the real overworld theme in this game isn't like that. This guy is such a greedy jerk, charging 980 rupees. You're lucky that I don't steal, because he deserved to be robbed for charging this much. Oh my gosh, how far can Marin jump? This walrus is as guilty as Snorlax for not finding a better place to sleep. It's actually kind of funny that even though we're only a couple hours into the game, it feels like we're farther into the game than we actually are. What is this, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Link just casually stands on this quicksand while holding the Angler key and doesn't get dragged into the sand pit. Link's scream when falling down holes sounds rather off-putting. Wasn't this weird in Link to the Past Game Boy Advance? These enemies are called orb monsters. Really creative name, I know. Well, at least this time they don't land the wrong way like they do in the original. Just come Blargs from Mario. Or Grimer. Or Booblobs from Yoshi's Island. How do you know we want more power? The dungeon also lets us choose if we want more defense, so how do you know what we want? I fail to see what a stone Hinox has to do with color. The hard-hit beetle barely looks like a beetle. How are these heavy boulders not falling through these cracks while we are? Either these are some light boulders or Link's gained weight. This section dries up pretty quickly for one that's been blasted by a waterfall. Again, If you knew you were going to be lost, why couldn't you have found a way to get back here? Why did you even come out here to begin with? I guess mountains are a great place to enjoy the view, but we literally get no reason as to why he's going to somewhere he knew he'd be lost in. Fiddles. From this angle, it looks like he's eating the skin of the pineapple too. Because I don't think that would taste good. I'm so glad that your sword, the power ring, and Pegasus boost don't have to be switched out so it's not as repetitive. Did Link just run through the floor? These Helmasaur's masks actually look a bit uncomfortable. Treasure chest. Again, the anglerfish isn't so tough. He and the rubble move so slow, and even his minions are more threatening. Monbo just barely dances. He mostly just dances with his eyeball. But since you can finally use the ocarina to teleport to any warp point instead of just Monbo's pond, I'm taking some sins off. Against all logic, the water around this heart piece wasn't bloodstained, so this game can be suitable for kids. This heart piece takes so long to get to. No one is frightened by this ghost. The hippo model is a jerk to Link. Also, the way she's standing almost makes her look like a toilet. This is going to sound stupid, but because there are a few boys in the older Zelda games that look like girls, it actually surprised me to find out that Martha really was female just as she looked. This cave looks much harder to reach than it actually is. Why did this ghost need us to take him to the house by the bay if he could have just flown there? He's a ghost, so I don't think enemies would have hurt him. Did he really just say boo-hoo? No one ever cries like that. How do they expect us to take that line seriously? The ghost allows us to ruin the vases in his house. Are you telling me that Christine tricked us into giving Mr. Right a picture of Peach, making him think that she's her so she can trick him into dating her even though she's a goat lady? Christine is such a terrible creature. Grandma Yahoo was sweeping by the river? Strong river current and all? No wonder her old broom broke. A necklace isn't even heavy. What a whim! Out of context, this looks rather inappropriate. Then I'm guessing you've never seen a cuckoo get attacked. Here's the catfish's maw. Should we call this the vor level? These traps really are traps. How are we supposed to see them coming? The fact that you fight this massive Stalfos 4 times in this dungeon is probably what inspires Stalfos to be the most overused mini-boss in Ocarina of Time. How did a Goomba get all the way in here? He'd have to swim through here, and Goombas are too weak to swim. True, they could Mario Maker, but that didn't come out until 22 years after the original Link's Awakening. Unless you somehow know the hookshot grabs onto these blocks, this part is cheat. There are some statues we can't hookshot to, but we can hookshot to this double dry bones head or whatever this is. Wow, this really is the 4 level. At least now Slimeo's heart is no longer visible from outside his body, so it's no longer morbid. But why exactly is this section more vulnerable than its other sections? Why can't he just tell us what kind of island this is? Telling us the truth about it will be more likely to stop us than just leaving it at that. Did someone leave their heart in this cave? We interrupt this game to bring you the Rapids ride from Super Mario RPG. Why is this raft so slow? Well, at least it's faster than the boat in Paper Mario Origami King. Why did they make the key to the somewhat creepy face shrine look like a cute smile? This writing is inconsistent where it just starts rhyming for no reason and then stops. It all seems to take the fact that their entire lives might be alike quite well. Do we really need this path going to this wall? I mean, it was already kind of obvious that was bombable in the original game, but we can see the cracks in the wall, so there's no longer a point to having this path here. All hail Link, the guy who can stand on top of ladders with no problem. Kinda anticlimactic when this chest containing the more powerful bracelet is just out in the open. I don't really see what elephants have to do with the face shrine. There's so much backtracking you have to do in the last 3 major dungeons of the game. Wish orbs can be a problem because your sword can't kill them. Especially if you're using bombs, because you have to time them almost perfectly. Also, I think they look kinda dumb with how they just disappear while leaving their hats. Now that I think about it, these winged items, are they sentient beings? Dog abuse. Okay, it's hard to tell since it doesn't really look like a dog, but it has a collar like one. How about dog manta ray thing abuse? Yeah, that'll work. How can a ball be this strong? What's it even made of? I'm glad these chess puzzles are much easier to do than in the original game, but I was always told that they move in an L shape. They don't go diagonally. Annoying spark placement, and here's where this game starts reusing mini-bosses. I don't mind it that much, but I'm still sitting it. Did I forget to tell you these black hole things are frustrating? They send you to the beginning of the level just like wall masters do. Did I also forget to tell you how inconsistent beam modes are? Sometimes they're killable, other times they aren't. Why can't we get more intense music for these creepy warnings? This just sounds like some Yoshi Story reject song. What were they thinking? It pretty much ruins this dramatic moment. So the island really is a dream by the Windfish. But does that mean that the Dream Shrine part was Dreamception? The signpost maze can get a bit complicated. Again, how is grass growing above this hole? This game really has something against Mario after having Wart as one of Link's friends. Also, the smaller one singing is actually pretty bad. Look at these scattered bones! Guess their singing was so bad it killed someone in here. Necromancy. Also, this rooster is huge too. I love how the huge flower takes the same amount of hits as the small flowers. How is anyone supposed to know to bomb this hole? Yes, we have tried holding him over our head. How in the heck does this game predict the Yoshi's Island DS theme? Don't get used to using the rooster because you'll only be able to use him temporarily and won't be able to ever again after this. These eagle statues look more like owl statues. Another instance of these traps ambushing you. How fast do they think we are? Hey, what's the point of these spikes repeatedly retracting and coming out again? Did the monsters do that to make us think there were no spikes only for them to come out at us or something? These pillars have nothing at the top of them. Getting confused in this dungeon can happen pretty often. Yeah, the entire tower is rubble now. Game makes the chest hard to get, and it contains a measly bomb, let alone when you had to use 2 bombs to get here. While the tower does collapse somewhat from this, I'm surprised it doesn't collapse even more. Wow, this game really has something against Kirby. Also, did they forget he can steal powers? We don't get spit out as a star. I hate the Grim Creeper fight because his stupid minions keep flying away before you have the chance to hit them. Evil Eagle's face barely looks like an eagle. Grim Creeper doesn't fall off Evil Eagle despite the fact that there are no handrails. With these waterfalls, how is this water not pushing us towards them already? How did these monsters put Marin up here? Our hookshot doesn't pierce Marin when we're saving her like this. Also, I wonder what Marin will think when we tell her that she's just a dream from the Windfish. Will she still want us to win? Of course, stupid Terran has to interrupt this cute romantic moment. Wait, did Marin just call her own father by his first name? Marin unintentionally attempted suicide for herself and everyone else on the island. Necromancy. Again, these Vires are difficult to hit. Attacking the Vire enemies splits them in 2. Is that how they give birth? Also, which one of the 2 gets the original Vire's mind? Or does it just die before giving birth to these 2? Some of these mini-bosses are pushovers now if you have a stronger sword. This dungeon is partially a glorified mini-boss rush. Again, I don't mind it that much, but I'm sitting it because this is a short game and I don't want it to have too few sins. These platforms are so skinny and hard to land on. Dog/stingray thing abuse. Again, game trolls us again. Having to throw the bombs from the high ledge at the Dodongo snakes makes them a jerk to fight. Also, these guys must have pretty sturdy stomachs if it takes them swallowing multiple bombs to kill them. Thanks a lot, game. Link pushes this block into the lava and it doesn't splash on him. Did I mention this dungeon's layout is a bit confusing? Lucky that these blocks are able to be grabbed with the hookshot. Wait, how can you even grab them? I doubt they have any handles. Bleno's punches can force you to start the battle all over again if you're not careful. Because calling it Fire Rod would be too specific. Why are these ice blocks in the lava dungeon? I get they're not in the same room, but still not that far from lava. Cue Ball, a water creature, can survive lava, yet looks the exact same as its water counterpart. You have to keep falling off the right way in order to melt this ice block. How can Hothead, a giant fireball, take damage from fire? How pathetic! It takes until the end of the game to get one of Link's more iconic power-ups. But maybe that has something to do with the fact that it's unusually broken. You can give up any item you have for the boomerang, but he'll just sell you the item you trade him back for 300 rupees. Why couldn't we just save time and buy the boomerang for 300 rupees? You already told us your wish of becoming a seagull, so it's not a secret. Once again, the trading sequence is still required. I would have thought it would be no longer required after the bridge. So, stealing from the shopkeeper also makes every single bit of his merchandise disappear. Also, stealing is a crime, but murdering someone? Perfectly legal. 67 seconds of playing the Ballad of the Windfish. This egg is much bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. And yes, this is another Lost Woods type level. Am I the only one who's kind of bothered by the fact that so many Final Zelda dungeons don't actually play out like traditional Zelda dungeons? I mean, think about it. Between this, as well as the final dungeons in Majora's Mask, the Oracle games, Wind Waker, Spirit Tracks, maybe Ocarina of Time, as well as some others that I probably missed, notice a pattern here? You had to make another stupid generic song for the cutscene before the final boss? These nightmares had pretty much no build-up throughout this entire game. And they have weird motives. They made the Windfish sleep so they could create an island for them to rule? I barely get it. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the roots of Dead Man's Valley becoming overused in Zelda. The game needs to bring back annoying Moldor memories. They can't go one game without having Ganon. Okay, actually they could in Majora's Mask and Phantom Hourglass, and a few others, but still a sin. Thanks for once again stating what we already know about the island. Silly Owl is power, wisdom, and courage, not wisdom, courage, and power. You got the order mixed up. Rescue the island? I'd say we're more so doing it than rescuing it. Are you sure Link's the hero here? I bet Talon must be very disappointed to find this mushroom and suddenly stop existing as soon as he found it. Okay, this actually made me get all weepy when I saw this scene. This is easily the saddest moment in all of Zelda. I was worried that the claymation style would ruin it, but it still managed to be very heartbreaking. And now Link's going to float in the middle of nowhere and eventually die, and the Oracle games aren't going to happen. Looks like we just betrayed all the Islanders' trust and wiped them all out for nothing. Hearing the long-gone Marin sing with a whale floating over us, let alone with the same whale that was basically the end of her, actually makes me feel really uncomfortable. I feel like the saddest game in the series could have a less triumphant credits theme. The credits scene doesn't really have any interesting visuals like a lot of credit screens nowadays. Are the windfish's wings even big enough? So does Marin still exist? How did that happen if she was just a dream? Marin really has become a seagull now? Now people will have to support bestiality if they want to make out with her. I mean, congratulations, Marin! Like in Black and White, they had the legendary's cry cut off the music. I love this shout out to Generation 3. It's like they know it helped define some people's childhoods, including mine. Our mother's still making us ride in the moving truck. I expected them to poke fun at that. Laron tempers its body by drinking water, which weakens rock types. Unlike most starter birds, Tail and Hoot Hoot evolve only once. Maybe I'm used to Alola and Galar, but seeing everyone barely move feels uncanny. Well, at least unlike the Sinnoh remakes, they're not sacrificing new fully animated cutscenes for the sake of nostalgia pandering. Why doesn't Birch just run to his bag and send out a Pokemon? I don't mind Wurmple, but it's pretty much a Caterpie/Weedle clone with a complicated evolution method. Professor Birch basically rooted against his own daughter. Really? It's been 3 seconds since their last interruption. Get used to May interrupting the game a lot. This is an interesting mechanic, but it could disappoint fans of the originals. They probably expected a Pokemon that was previously unseen on this route. I preferred when we didn't need screen transitions when going between routes. Lotad, despite being a water type, can't learn many water moves normally. If this kid sinks into the grass, why can't he just step out of it? Who knew picking berries made their trees disappear? Did this kid fight Norman outside the gym? Our father's letting Wally borrow a Pokemon so he can actually catch his first Pokemon instead of being given it? Now Wally's gonna have bragging rights for life. It's nice to help Wally catch a Pokemon, but is he teaching himself? Also, this is pretty much a disguised tutorial, except not even a direct one. Wally's been sick all his life? How's he still alive? And how come his parents let him go out? This game's soundtrack's very nostalgic to me. I'm gonna remove Sins for the combined total of all of the ones I love. We get nothing for giving our potions to this kid. Winston wastes a Forester on a low-level Zigzagoon. Of course you couldn't win with your level 5 Wurmples. The enemy team couldn't have full battle models like Team Flare. How will bringing bug types to school make you popular? Nincada stays motionless until it evolves, yet it can still fight. Game Freak got seeds and berries mixed up. In the original games, these ladies actually look pretty. Now they look like they have too much sunburn. Ivan's a water-type expert when he's a generic trainer with a Magikarp team. Now that you mention it, I miss when Pokemon Centers had 2 floors. Maybe it's a new camera angle, but these gyms look so puny now. Clyde's GBA sprite looked much cooler. Roxanne's gym lacks variety. Everyone uses Geodude. I feel sorry for Nosepass, always stuck facing north. Despite its Pokédex entry, Grovyle can learn Fly. I missed when we got badges the instant the battle ended. Good thing we just happened to be in town when the researcher was being robbed, otherwise he'd never get the Devon goods back. I love how this teacher says students that don't study get a taste of its Quick Claw, then gives us a Quick Claw. What's that supposed to mean? What's the point of Premier Balls? Yeah, but would you be in trouble for not having the Devon goods? Yes, they are important, but if you explain it, I think they'd understand it's not your fault. Hooray, youngster Joey's here, inspiring everyone to make that top percentage Rattata joke that's like 50 years old. Being overdramatic. Bugcatcher Jose really thought he had us with his team of Wurmple, Nincada, and Silcoon. These guys were digging in Rustorf Tunnel and had to put a stop to the process right when they were almost there. Even though these guys think they're in the right, this grunt admits to being evil. And of course, like all Pokemon villains, he thinks that his evil plan is over just because he lost a Pokemon battle. Why couldn't the Devon Corporation just hire some guards to get these important papers back? Or at least call the cops? Is there any reason Mr. Stone can't just tell us that Steven's his son, like a father would? What's Mr. Briny doing running around the table in circles with Pico? Good idea, go into a ship with an old man you barely know. What a great thing to teach kids. I like these camera angles. While I do like the attention to the detail of how the player sits on the cushions when talking to people sitting on cushions, your character will even sit on the floor if he's there. Potion festivals. Maybe it's because I'm not a fisherman, but I don't understand why they need to leave their fishing rod cast out here while they're in the bathroom. They'll never catch fish like that. It's amazing that Slackoth can survive when its heart beats only once a minute. Even real sloths' hearts beat 45 times a minute. How would you know we even fish at all? I guess that making most of Granite Cave optional wasn't that bad of a choice, but this shot of it from the bottom screen looks very little like how it did in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. And you can't catch Auron as early as you could in the original games. What gives? Laura seems too tough to be acting like a crybaby when she loses. With a name like Brawly, I'm surprised this person isn't disappointed that he didn't get into Smash Bros. Brawl. While I do like how the backgrounds are actually the backgrounds in the respective areas, the screen wasn't this high. The thick fat ability is meant to half the damage from ice and fire. Good thing to teach kids, and it's good to be fat. You could have worded that a bit less weird. Kyogre looks silly with strong arms. That's actually annoying. Blur's just accusing us of trying to steal his snow cone. Looks like we got ourselves another Megan Peg from the Johto games. Doohickey.
Who are you people?
Maxie looks stupid now. Archie insults his minions for losing to a kid, then says we're no ordinary kids. Even though Archie's wrong in trying to expand the seas, he kinda has a point. The submersible pod looks like some helmet/igloo looking thing. This person still says don't run around the museum even though it's possible now with no repercussions. They should have changed their dialogue to don't use your bike in the museum. Did Captain Stern even bother to make sure his submarine's big enough? Lycia randomly picks shots out of everyone. Seems a bit suspicious even though she's not a twist villain. I have nothing against her. I think it's cute that she likes us. But yeah, congratulating us for being the 100th trainer makes you look even more suspicious. Again, I know Lycia is not evil, but this could easily give the wrong impression. Berries look rotten when Pokemon eat them. I hate this move. It permanently takes away your item. Some trick house puzzles have paths that go directly to the exit. While at least the scroll needed to open the door isn't out in the open. Really? A stomach Pokemon? What next? A toilet Pokemon? Don't get any ideas. What do you mean by almost your equal in greatness in 4 places? And yes, there's only 6 trick house puzzles instead of the original's 8. People actually mistake this for a human child. Nuzleaf uses this leaf as a flute but can't learn Grass Whistle. You said you just wanted to see our Pokemon, then you say you wanted to complete your collection. Are you implying you want to steal our Pokemon? Look what they've done with Marvel City. Why couldn't it look like this in Making Battles in the Sand? This deserves some sins off. Since Wally's become a trainer, we've gotten 2 badges. I'm pretty sure Wally should be ready to get one by now, though maybe his uncle's onto something. One Ralts can't beat Watson. Before this game came out, Game Freak lied to us that Wally would replace May as our rival. I'm glad he didn't, but why did they lie to us? I'm removing 2 sins because Curly's back sprite isn't disgusting anymore. Melissa didn't need a bike to enter Cycling Road. You would have if Game Freak weren't too lazy to design female triathletes this time. This goes on for some time. You'll lose that triathlon just running back and forth like that. Lydia and Isaac never evolved their Pokemon in the rematches. Why? That's one of the things I loved about fighting them in the original. The news puts pretty much anything on the air, and I thought Modern Ash Ketchum was way too easily impressed. Why doesn't Watson use Maniac Trick like an Emerald? We clearly can't see the Trickmaster behind this tree. Pokemon Ranger Sebastian isn't singing to a mermaid about how Sea Life's better. How many times do we have to answer yes? The Winds Racer fought from weakest to strongest. How's Victoria stronger than Victor? Victoria only has 1 Pokemon while Victor has 2, Flying beats Roselia, and there's barely any level difference. Even if you come back after being their son, Victor and Vicky still say he's stronger than you. Nice try, but if Vito was the champion, you'd know that. Unless this world's mean enough to not tell anyone about a champion's accomplishments. This guy's identity crisis is worse than Kanto's Karate Masters. He was named Clark, then Jim, and now Bryce. Game made me spell Roz wrong for Monsters Incorporated for over a decade. Bagon repeatedly jumps off cliffs trying to fly, but keeps landing on its head. That's messed up. Hey, Yoshi's New Island, Dream Drop Distance, and LGBT Nazis who try to repeatedly harass Disney into making Elsa gay. Take notes. This is how you retcon something correctly. Revealing that Arun's from Unova and not Hoenn is a twist no one will care about, so it can't ruin any awesome plot points. How does Spoink not die from sleeping if it has spouts to keep its heart pumping? What's the point of making this senile old lady keep asking us to rest even after our Pokemon are fully restored? I love this route, but I'm sitting it for reminding me of how stupid I was as a kid. I actually mistook this for snow. So it's no longer gathered from running in grass. That was so much fun! Leo must really be a ninja if he doesn't suffocate or cut himself while hiding in ash. I bet Professor Cosmo and Wanda from Verdant Turf are youngster Timmy's godparents because he was being abused by Windstraight Vicky. What if wind blows Swabbler's cloud wings away? Does it become flightless forever? Well, it looked like when it evolves into Altaria in this state. Yeah, how are we supposed to know that? The enemies only use 4 Pokemon lines, with only 1 being actually of their respective types. Can you at least give them any more Pokemon like Wingull or Slugma? I know this wobbly shot's meant to show the other leader's point of view when he's walking, but it's a detail they really shouldn't have gone through the trouble of since simply zooming in would look better. The Allied teams were cooler in the Game Boy Advance versions. Is there any reason for them to act like they're our enemies too? I mean, when have you ever heard anyone complaining about the good team not being harsh on you? Every Pokemon villain fights for a nicer world. This is really dangerous. having a platform above lava without even having a way to hold it up from the other side. For some reason, I think the dowsing machine looks weird. Okay, now Flannery's just stalling. The fact that you can get instantly taken to the area you want to go at some points is worthy of a send-off. I see that Go Goggles protect our eyes from the sandstorm, but it won't stop us from choking on the sand blowing in our faces. Not a smart move for Heidi to have a picnic in the desert, where the sandstorm will blow all over her stuff, unless she likes to taste of sand. And she proves that like a lot of trainers, she's a sure loser. I guess it might be only fair that we get to choose only one of the two fossils before the other sinks into the sand, but what's stopping us from just reaching with both of our hands and taking them both at once? Would Grandma from Banjo-Kazooie come out of the sand and order us to give one back if we did that? If we beat Dusty and then rematch him, he forgets how many years he's been searching for ancient ruins. Point is, the player's a jerk to Dusty. I always wondered, why is Sandstorm a rock type move instead of a ground type move? That literally makes no sense. I'd say we're doing the Trickmaster a favor this time, since look at this head-sized compartment. That must be very uncomfortable to hide in. The girl who was lost in thought was named Robin instead of Corin. Game raises their hopes for a trick house with 2 floors, only for that to just be a secret tunnel. Which is still kinda cool, mind you. How do people not lose their souls from staring into the hall and shut engines back when they're using them in battle? Del Candy is cute, but not very useful. Especially if it has that terrible normalizer ability. Parker unfortunately didn't get to be a bug-type trainer who uses spider Pokemon. Linoon has an arrow on its head. What is this, Avatar? Linoon gets us in for reminding me of the unbelievably obnoxious one in the episode Showdown at Linoon. Does Norman think he's a fighting-type gym leader? Seriously? You had to turn Slackoth, a Pokemon with a completely original concept of being a sloth Pokemon, into another monkey? Norman's team is about as lazy as his Slackings. Literally all 3 of his Pokemon are of the Slackoth line. Why can't he have Linoon and Spindle like an Emerald? It's not even a full evolutionary line team like in the anime. Are you sure these Pokemon are yawning or doing a bad Kermit the Frog impression? How does Vigoroth not get exhausted from constantly moving wildly all the time? How are we this high up off the ground? I don't remember seeing any staircases in this gym. Why would gym leaders be frustrated for losing? They have nothing to lose except for some money, which isn't any different than if they were normal Pokemon trainers. If anything, it would make them proud of the people who beat them. In spite of what I just said about being able to instantly get taken to places at times, would it hurt to at least give the chance to say no here? What if someone once said now accessible rare candy found here right away? This feels pretty powerful, but it could easily deceive people into thinking it's based off the Titanic, since Seamallville was a ship in the Gen 3 games. And people are bringing their children to this ruined factory that looks like it could collapse on them. Loudon is a cool Pokemon, but I can't look at it without thinking of how annoying it was in Explorers of Sky with its wake-up call that gets jarring really fast, and how it practically hogs the camera in the dinner scenes. How Gabby and Ty got this whole battle on camera without having the camera damaged by some of the Pokemon's moves is impressive. Why don't these two just shove us aside with their Pokemon instead of monologuing to us? Don't they want the legendary? If Matang can only be created if 2 Beldum fuse together, why do I only need 1 Beldum? It's a Slowbro situation all over again. That sounds so wrong. I love how now this game just gives you a legendary Pokemon for free, when we're just barely over halfway done with this game. I mean, I definitely prefer it over the originals where you had to spend weeks chasing it down, but it's still a sin. Why did they have to get rid of both Surskit and Ninkita's completely original typings upon evolution? You really think just telling us not to go to the Weather Institute is enough to keep us away from there? The game made me think the old meddling kids phrase originated from Pokemon when I was younger. The way he says, "Give them back!" is very hard to take seriously. I can imagine Shelly questioning her leader's motives, but Tabitha? The guy who seems like a crazy person? This grunt's surprised that a kid showed up when a kid foiled their other plans. Isn't Shelly too old for Brendan? Why is this admin only using 1 Pokemon? They also used Mightyena in their last battle against us. How did you get tired when your Sharpedo did all the work? I thought we wouldn't have to put up with Sun rival battles anymore. In the original games, these kinds of ninja boys actually jumped out and ambushed you when masquerading as trees. Now they literally wait until you go up and talk to them. Feebas is the most annoying Pokemon to find in the game. Fortress City's builders were terrible planners if they couldn't even have uncovered windows. I've seen log cabins that can close windows, so why not here? Steven words this terribly. He's making it sound like we're gonna fight him even though we're just fighting a little Kecleon. One of Winona's rules is that losing is not allowed? What? What kind of witchcraft is this Trickmaster using? There's no ground behind his house, so how is he able to hide out this window? This puzzle has no trainers. I might understand why there aren't any in the Metrodol puzzle, but why this one? Cat's form has no Sandstorm form. If Cat's form is part of your beauty and you didn't want that ruined, don't battle us. The strongest Hoenn introduced electric Pokemon has barely passable stats. Were these guys just waiting here to move to Mount Pyre? If you want to get there before your rivals, you shouldn't have just stood in one spot. May finally evolved her starter to its final stage. Definitely a step up from the original. These grunts tell you where and why Archie went, but won't say the other answer. Well, maybe they shouldn't give us any answers. It's disrespectful to have battles in a cemetery. And Sushi just assumes we're here to help him train. Was this CM left here to honor this deceased Pokemon? Because that means we're grave robbers. Male Manatite looks so dumb with its ears on its forehead. Where's this Grunt's Poochyena? Before the battles, these mountains were covered in grass, but during the battles they've been converted into a rocky landscape. I'm glad the enemy takes the right orb this time, but these grunts were already here before him, so why didn't one just run up and grab the orb and bring it to their boss? I mean, sure, Archie or Maxie got it in the end, but still. And why can't the orbs be separated? Yeah, they don't explain that. Don't keep convincing yourself you'll never lose, you won't improve. I do like grass-type Pokemon, but I never said that to you.
How could this happen to me?
Why do the grunts have to blab out that they're stealing the submarine? Just take it while everyone's distracted. Team Aqua gets a more interesting line than Team Magma does. Discount expansion suit from X and Y. If we catch these electrodes in the boss's office, are we stealing them from him? And why doesn't he use them? I know Camroot's Team Magma's Pokemon, but having a Camroot submarine just looks odd since Camroot's quadruple weak to water. The amount of surfing in the late game is the bane of most players' existence. This also goes for the originals, but this wishing rock's misleading since there's no Jirachi event involved with it. I guess this is interesting, but why is the astronaut so fat? Cool light puzzle thing, but what if it malfunctions? Shouldn't it have a net to prevent people from falling? Meta527 can survive going for a month without eating. The 7th gym leader only has 2 Pokemon. That's pathetic. This is a problem throughout most of the game. They practically ignore Emerald's existence. This is one of my worries for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl despite my anticipation for them. The Pokédex says Lunatone has intimidating eyes. They aren't that scary. Olaf Metrodol 1's answers are Nincada. No wonder Metrodol 2 says its difficulty level is too low. This abandoned factory had a slanted door. What weirdo asks us where we're from but tells us to answer yes or no? Maybe that's a joke, but who in the right mind does that? You actually contemplate Pokemon for 24 hours a day? This guy's an insomniac. Fisherman Ronald doesn't look like a clown and isn't at a fast food restaurant. I'm getting bad memories of Skyla's anime counterpart, since air battles sounded awesome because they sound like they'd happen in the skies, and were advertised as battles that sound like they go inside Skyla's imagination, which sounded like unlimited potential, only for us to get stupidity. Good thing these trainers weren't there when the Pillar of Light erupted. Hair Razor Tail. Game thinks won't know the word behooves. Well, now he's lost it. Finally! A villain that doesn't stop his plans just because he lost some Pokemon battle. Wait, is Maxie aware that reviving Groudon could destroy the world? You no longer fight the admins here. Secondary villain grows a conscience and tries to stop their leader cliche. Also, you still had a hand in this. I know that was before you realized just how powerful Kyogre was, but at least admit to your own mistakes. Also, this inspired the terrible Cavern episode of Pokemon Generations to play Shelly off like a complete saint who literally never did anything evil. This seems easily better than it was in the original games. It doesn't end so suddenly anymore. Kyogre, despite its 90 base speed, just slowly floats towards Strotopolis. This deep underground cave has pretty good reception. You were just horrified by what you heard, now you're still excited? How are you partially responsible for this? It's the opposing team's fault. You tried to prevent it. Why is Tabitha smiling? I'm glad our former enemies are helping you save the world this time. How did we jump that far? While Kyogre's cutscene looks awesome, Groudon's is just 20 seconds of riding over lava. Doesn't Game Freak care about Arceus anymore? Arceus is supposed to be the god of all Pokemon, yet they're making these guys stronger. Kyogre keeps healing, making it somewhat annoying to catch. This was actually kinda anticlimactic in the original because then it just ended. We didn't even see it stop. Here, however, it's much more satisfying. And we can finally fly to different routes now, and the atmosphere that comes with it is just so amazing. Why does New Marvel take longer to unlock than it used to? And it's nowhere near as challenging as it used to be. The fact that Wallace has women in his basement is actually kinda creepy if you think about it. Getting to fight trainers shouldn't be a penalty for messing up, especially since we can't fight them after beating Wallace. Chrissy's usage of double negatives used to confuse me. Luvdisc is cute, but useless. The Trick Master even managed to hide beneath a cushion, let alone one that looks really flat. How do we exceed you in greatness? Unless we set up some puzzles that you can solve, I'm not sure that really means we exceed you in greatness. It's actually pretty awesome that we can see non-Hoenn Pokemon before beating the game, and also how new evolutions to old Pokemon are in the Hoenn-Dex too. Armato's Pokédex says it can bounce all attacks off with its armor. Another bogus entry because it can still be defeated. Granted, it would be completely broken otherwise, but it's still misleading. I know I'm removing a lot of sins at a time, but I think the fight with Wally is much more awesome here, and he even uses Gallade like I was hoping he would. These hallways look really neat, but you can't fight the Elite Four members in any order you want like in the past 3 years. Sydney's face looks dumb in this game. Does Phoebe think she's Ace Roller now? Dustclops can absorb anything into its body and nothing ever comes out. That's horrible. Phoebe is also better than Agatha, just like how Karen is, but she only uses 3 evolutionary lines. What about Shedinja? Bayonet was supposedly a toy that was cursed to life. So then where does Trumpet come from if it started out as a Bayonet? Also, it tries to get revenge on the kid that abandoned it. So we interrupt this game to bring you Toy Story. Glacier looks younger than she actually is. If Glalie made of frozen rock, why isn't it a rock ice type? There aren't enough ice Pokemon in this game. Aside from Hailcast form, there's only 3 evolutionary lines, one being a legendary. The final fight against Steven is awesome, but it brings back terrible memories, for it's one of the biggest examples of how much I was a complete brat when I was a kid. I held an unhealthy grudge against him because he beat me, even though the reason he beat me was because I was really bad at Pokemon back then. Aggron is one of my favorite Pokemon, making it even more unfair that nearly every Aggron in the anime is a bad guy. I'm glad we beat Steven, but if you check his Pokénav page, it shows that he still thinks he's the strongest even after we beat him. Not only is that a complete jerk thing, it also doesn't sound like something he'd say. I really want to take off Sins for this cute and romantic moment, especially since I had the biggest crush on May when I was 12, but then I remembered that this game is shipping us with an underage girl. Seriously, what is with this franchise and shipping us with underage characters? Every game since Gen 6 has done this except for Sword and Shield, and even then, those games came close to shipping us with Marnie. Honestly, it feels like this is actively trying to take a dump on the ending of X and Y. And there's a somewhat overused Rayquaza song from Emerald. Is the Delta episode their justification for having little to no Pokemon Emerald references up to this point? Because it doesn't really justify it. This is another way to retcon correctly, revealing that one of the grunts was a good guy. It's a cool twist, and we won't have a reason to complain about it since there's just one less real member. Discount Yuffie. How come Zinnia wasn't in Generations like the other Gen 6 post-game waifu Emma was? Let Leonid. Scene does not contain a lap dance. Wally easily tells us his keystone was stolen, but all he told the admin was, I don't have one. Some grunts didn't get the memo that their team disbanded. Mr. Stone thinks he's Santa Claus. Aw, the Hawaiian waifu likes me back. I mean, I didn't say anything. Zinnia is sacrificing thousands of lives to save millions. I think Zinnia inspired one of the main characters from Fire Emblem Three Houses. How was this disappointing if you knew you'd lose? These grunts had a great plan of having intimidated on us 5 times, but then used Roar to switch out our Pokemon and ruin their plan. You were supposed to have reformed, and even then, you wanted to change the world, not destroy it. I guess Matt and Courtney don't get it. You couldn't just tell them there was another hope to save this world before destroying what they thought was their only hope? Worst Banjo-Kazooie impression ever. That's sexist. Also, even if you're a girl who's beaten Archie twice, he's still surprised a girl beat him. Zinnia quotes one of the best yet most overused modern SpongeBob songs before it came out. We're wasting precious time with this battle. Isn't our champion title proof enough that we're worthy? Ludicolo's design caused oversensitive morons to whine about nothing. The ones who built Sky Pillar were jerks to his visitors, forcing them to climb several ladders to get the full story. It's okay, I don't mind getting knocked unconscious by a waifu. I gotta stop doing that. Are other Pokemon survive in space? Why did we get Wally's Keystone back? We haven't seen him since he told us Zinnia stole it. Oh, so that's the strange, bizarre reason why the credits version of Into the Unknown was sung by a man. You're not the champion anymore, remember? I know this scene's supposed to be a callback, but it just makes Birch look pathetic since he hasn't learned from the first time. Gentleman Thomas doesn't look like a talking train. How is Hidden Power an obvious choice for experts? This is one of the most obnoxious things Game Freak's done. In addition to removing the Battle Frontier, they raised a giant middle finger at us for wanting it, and basically promised it would return as DLC, but it never did. That disgusts me, and it deserves 10 cents. Great sprite work. Almost looks like it was animated with the Game Boy Advance. By this shot, I'm guessing this is Professor M's lab, but there's a windmill to the left even though there isn't one in the game. Lyra gets too much hate, but why did they replace Marina? Oh look, Professor Oak's back, so people will make those contextless creep jokes again. Oak doesn't know your gender. Conversation theme's just dumb. Mr. Pokemon is such a creative name. This is honestly my least favorite selection of starters. Their evolutions get no additional types, and Chikorita's the only one of the 3 that I love, while the other 2 I think are just eh. The original, the internal battery could run dry, which rarely happened, but once it did, you couldn't save anymore. If that flaw was still here, I give 20 cents. But the problem's gone now, so I'll remove 10 instead. Even if you know how to use the Pokegear, your mom still tells you. She lets a child register random strangers in their phone. remix of a kiddie song and sounds even more kiddie than the Route 1 theme, making this feel insulting for grown-ups. 80 seconds of unneeded tour guide. We'll have sand footprints on the grass. Apricorn. Silver ambushes you even more than Blue does, where you won't be prepared since you either have low health, or it might be almost time to turn your game off and you can't save. That's super annoying. Why did Silver steal this Pokemon if they're being given away for free anyway? And now the game decided we should be trainer card thieves because we need some way to give him a name. To be fair, it was confusing in the original since it actually made some people think his name's question mark, but this isn't much better. Where did you get that logic? Criminals only return to the scene if they're as oblivious as, well, most Pokemon criminals. Besides, that's a huge jump to conclusions. That's like hearing that movie tickets were stolen and then convicting the next guy who walks into the theater. Friend Ex Machina. It would be awesome if Silver got arrested in this game, but he never does. He loses several battles, but he deserves more comeuppance than that. If you save up enough money with this terrible mother, she spends your money on something you might not want. You know, instead of using her own money, and she keeps apologizing but keeps doing it again, so 3 cents. 90 seconds of capture tutorial. And here's the beginning of one of the most annoying Pokemon memes ever. Just because you won before doesn't mean you'll win the next battle. This girl doesn't explain what the shaking pillar has to do with people training. How? Again, here's 5 cents for status moves having better odds of working on you than on opponents. I thought it was stupid that you could skip Giovanni's rotating tiles, but now they give you a path that takes you straight to Falkner. Here's 5 more cents for those annoying moves that make you keep missing. Once again, even mammal Pokemon can lay eggs. The weak siblings only appear on certain days. Where are they on the other days? Are they erased from existence until a time comes? This Kabuto puzzle was severely dumbed down. I enjoy catching the unknown, but they're useless fighters since they only use hidden power. I wish there was some device that fuses 6 unknown together like how the DNA splicers fuse Kyurem with Zekrom or Reshiram. Liz accepts your challenge despite being on the phone. Using a Pokeball as a bait will repel Pokemon instead of attracting them. Here he is, the traditional trainer with a team full of Magikarp. Thanks, Justin. Gordon says he found some good Pokemon, yet all he has is a Wooper. Who in the right mind would want to eat the tail of some weird bear thing? Your price for running all the way back to New Bark with Togepi is an Everstone. Russell's defeat quote is kinda weird. Not creepy, just weird. I know Anthony feels he has enough energy even after going through Union Cave, but couldn't he just walk not even a minute further to heal his Pokemon? Johto is the only generation that has no new villain team and instead used the same one from Kanto. Kurt and this grunt survived falling down this well. Kurt fell hard on his back and can't move, but he's standing up. They could have a sprite of an old man laying down in red and blue, so what's their excuse? I'm surprised your reputation isn't already ruined. Are you just now realizing someone won't agree with you, or are you just pointlessly reciting that? How do you not expect a kid to be good? A kid disbanded you guys in the past. Hey look, it's Pipe Maze from Mario Party. Bugsy doesn't look as ugly as he used to, but he's still ugly. I love how Benny owns a fully evolved Beedrill, yet Bugsy, the leader, still has a Kakuna and a Metapod. Because we knocked out a few bugs, we're a Pokemon expert. Sure, let's go with that. Why does the boss leave the guy with no badges in charge of these Farfetch'd? This daycare yard's way too small. Now we're forced into a daycare cutscene. Are you telling me that not a single person in this big city is interested in bikes? What kind of idiots kick someone out of a casino for doing good at it? I get that they think he's cheating, but these jerks have no evidence. Why does the Name Raider's house look like a circus tent? This is one of the only downgrades from Gold and Silver. Because of overprotective twits, you can't exchange money for game coins anymore. Getting coins takes forever now, and that's worth 4 cents. Carrie just assumed we're weak. Whitney is one of the most irritating trainers to face in the whole series because you keep losing to that annoying and ugly Mary Moo Cow wannabe and its blasted moveset. When we finally beat her, we have to wait for this woman child to stop being a sore loser and give us a badge. Why was she even hired to be a gym leader? This global terminal is useless now since it was shut off in 2014. The Pokeathlon dome is kinda missable. Sudowoodo looks dumb. I really don't like how they let us borrow a Pokemon. You have to give it away anyway, so training it's a huge waste of time. Beauty Callie's double battle partner isn't named Mari. Team Rocket Pervert. You are a villain, you twit! Well, at least this time there's no ambush, but how did Silver just sense us coming behind him? Silver says he'll never battle a weakling again, yet despite thinking you're a whim, he still challenges you later. Practicing your fire breathing in the burned tower is a terrible idea. 2 roaming legendaries. Good thing Suicune isn't one this time, but not only are the others annoying, but even if you use Mean Look, they have Roar ending the battle. Time for 5 cents. This gym only uses the Ghastly line. At least give Morty a Misdreavus. This Miltank's nicknamed Moo Moo, yet the dialogue box still calls it Miltank. How'd they make Coral look dumb? I wasn't mean to your sisters, you big baby. You're just like people in the movie parody community like The Misfits, Ellie Wages, and Strong Drew 941. Okay, maybe you're not that bad, but come on. How does beating you make us kind? Jasmine isn't wearing a blue shirt and pants and isn't seen with a guy named Aladdin in this game. I don't know how old these swimmers are, but I'm guessing they're not old enough to be hot yet. This brat wants to borrow our Pokemon without permission. I love this remix, but for some reason it makes me feel sad. I don't like how they have Kirk lend you his chuckle. You end up wasting a lot of good experience points on a Pokemon you'll have to give back eventually for no reward. How would battling earn Suicune's respect if it can't see us? I checked all its Pokédex entries and nothing says it sees everything. All I found was stuff about how it's referred to as the North Wind, dashes elegantly, and can purify dirty water. This puzzle is embarrassing. I know it's waterfall training, but you basically reach Chuck by interrupting his bath. Chuck has no business being a gym leader if he keeps distracting himself from challengers. Yoshi, since when were you turned into a human? I thought you were a dinosaur. Long's fists won't be hurting our Pokemon since his Pokemon are the ones fighting. Are these walls covered in frosting? Oh come on, I wanted to fight Jasmine's trainers. This level 35 Steelix is a huge difficulty spike. Onyx doesn't evolve for 100 years, but it can evolve minutes after hatching. I don't hate Dunsparce as much as I should, but like Alex said,
Why does it exist?
this is a really disturbing pair. Especially since this cloister is male. 3 cents for giving me that image. Jealousy Puff. This song is a Luigi's Engine Room-like intro. There are several Pokemon you couldn't get until after beating the Pokemon League, and by then they'd be useless. But now some are found way before then, but it's still luck-based. You're letting a child be the Safari Zone owner for passing small tests? You're kidding, right? Don't call an easily accessible place your secret place, you jerk. I'm glad you can choose to answer the phone or not when being called by unimportant things, but you might not answer fast enough. It takes way too long to get the experience share in this game. What do you mean, this time? This is our first time fighting you. Why does this brainless moron block the gym? I know we're supposed to do things in the right order, but at least make him say they're remodeling the gym or have him be a Team Rocket member or something. And then this greedy twit refuses to let you pass so he can sell you Rage candy bars, even if you already buy one. Why can't they have him say you need to be more experienced or something? Stupid man should go bankrupt. Think I'm being harsh? Well, he's a made-up character, so it doesn't matter. They really think no one will find this suspicious. Why are so many characters this oblivious? Unless you go around these gates, you're forced to pay and can't even say no. Android thinks he stinks at battles because he lost one. Dude, you have a Gyarados with you. Dragonite uses Hyper Beam on people by ramming them. Also, resorting to violence. Why are you telling us how to turn these off? Whose side are you on? Do you really think telling us not to touch it will make us not touch it? Why are you just standing there anyway? These morons tell us the passwords. I absolutely can't stand that they're having Silver destroy Team Rocket to try to make himself look like the good guy even though he's no better than them. What's the point of coming to me if you don't have time for the likes of me? How do we know who Giovanni is? We never met him. A Team Rocket member finally did something smart for once, and Game Freak still has his stupid Murkrow help us thwart his plans. How did Murkrow mimic Pikachu's voice anyway? Crows aren't parrots. Also, the ones who try to gang up on someone want to talk about dignity. This battle is awesome, but too easy. By now, you're likely 10 levels higher than Ariana, and you have a level 40 Dragonite helping you, which shouldn't be a Dragonite yet. Lens implies you have to kill these Electrode. That's definitely sad, but Pokemon don't die when they faint. Price sits on top of very cold ice every day to test his spirit, and he somehow doesn't slip. Even though ice beats grass, grass moves are super effective against all 3 of his Pokemon. Right when I thought they couldn't make me hate him anymore, Silver blows our cover. I got a better idea for this grunt. How do you stay put so we can't come in? Nope, instead you move aside. I was just about to compliment his persistency. Pedro's entire team is wasted on the coughing line this time. At least he doesn't admit to being an imposter right away like he used to, but he still tells you where the director is and gives you the key just because you won. Wasn't this the guy who wouldn't open the energy room door? Why won't Cooney discuss the legendary Pokemon? Silver assumed we'd lead him to Lance. Feraligatr tears up its opponents. That's terrible. Why doesn't this grunt use Raticate like in his first fight with us? Game thinks kids will know the word meticulous. This fight's kind of anticlimactic. They don't do much with Archer, and his team doesn't do much other than introducing the Houndour line. Even his coughing's unevolved. Why did Arceus make Houndoom's fire cause permanent burns? This scenario is just copied from the Silph takeover. Team Rocket conquers an important building, they give it back just because they lost a Pokemon battle. Then the real owner gives you something that helps you capture a legendary. Also, this game's mascot legendary isn't even required to see. Did Sayo not get slid across? Are her sandals slip resistant but not freeze resistant? Trading a Dragonair for a Dodrio isn't worth it. And why does this gender matter? Wobbuffet's completely luck-based, and because you can't run from it, you're at risk of dying to its counters, adding 4 sins. Clyde isn't kidding. Claire's an annoying fight, but at least Claire herself is pretty challenging? Never mind. Both Claire's Dragonair are almost the exact same. Claire's a sore loser too. Piper, we're more worthy of being here than you and your low-level horsey. Yes, it catches anything without fail. At least until some idiot decides it needs a small chance of missing. I love Lugia, but I prefer it being water than psychic. I know I'm wrong for having an opinion because it's based off the moon or something. I still personally would prefer it being water. Kyle must have some sort of identity crisis if he's called Koichi in Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Let's Go, but Kyle here. Kyle was a jerk to Hitmontop. Giraffe's tail deliberately rips off Chain Chomps. Are you kidding? You just said you're beginning to understand what Lance said about being nice to Pokemon, and still don't know why you can't win? How does Zatu not get dizzy if it's icy different time periods? If Fortress never opens its shell, how does it eat? Also, this bug Pokemon only learns one bug move normally. Johto is the only reason guilty of having an Elite Four be the same type as a gym in the same region, not counting Alola's captains. Again, why does Bruno have an Onix? When did Karen become great waifu material? She uses almost as many poison types as dark types. She's definitely better than Agatha, but why not use Sneasel? She has a Weavile in the rematch, doesn't she? It's even dumber that Lance, the Dragon Master, has his team literally full of flying types, and his 3 dragons are the same Pokemon. What about Kingdra? I still love this fight, especially the rematch, but even then, he has more flying types than dragons. Between this and the Hoenn games, people somehow come through these doors. I guess it's only fair that they come just to see you. But how do they know someone isn't pretending to come and meet us so they can face the champion at full health? Are you kidding? We don't get an interview? I hope they're not saying no one will know of our accomplishment. I love this song, but I can't listen to it without thinking of Silvagunner's Misha medley remix of the song, which is an epic remix. Even in the credits, Silva's a jerk. One gets left behind cliche. Pichu should be careful with his Togepi. It could drop it. Man, they extended the key change part of the song quite a bit. Also, remember this part of the song? Why did they remove that amazing part? I'm saying this here instead of Platinum, in case the Sinnoh remix removed the Battle Frontier like Hoenn's remix, but the game won't explain why we can't fight Caitlyn, the Battle Castle's own queen. This is one of the biggest post-games in any game I've played. Then I'm giving 2 back for being our 4th trip to Kanto. There's a ship called SS Aqua. Is there one called SS Magma? These morons give kids a bad name. Meg and Peg accuse us of calling them babies when we literally said nothing. You can't be this stupid. You make Kanto's people look smart. This is actually infuriating enough for 3 cents. Funny that 2 people lost someone on the ship. Wasn't this girl told not to hang out with strangers? Really? You think your granddaughter's going to be okay and that she hasn't been molested? Thankfully for him, his granddaughter hasn't. Eugene thought he could corner Suicune, even though there's clearly land it can easily jump to. Great, those luck-based traps are back up. Has Juggler Horton heard of who before? I'll take off 15 cents for all the amazing Kanto remixes in these games. I like Surge's team, but why does he need 2 electrodes? What about Jolteon? These guys haven't even started the building they're trying to make, even after 3 years. What's the point of the underground passage if you can use Fly? Now Copycat has the uncanny ability to quickly change clothes, and she changes in front of you. These terrible people tore down Copycat's old house to build a train station. No, you don't have the power of all those trainers. If you did, your Pokemon would be much stronger, you creep. Sabrina knew you'd arrive 3 years before now, but couldn't predict that Red would beat her. Our character's too young to date Sabrina. Be consistent, game. You just said Sabrina could predict 3 years into the future, but she can't predict that she'd lose in 5 minutes? Overconfidence is overpowering her visions again. Return to the most overrated town ever. I wish we could explore the Pokemon Tower like in the Kanto games. I understand taking measures after the radio tower incident, but it's still annoying. The Pokemon Tower was once a cemetery, but now a radio tower. That's disrespectful. I know the cemetery's moved to a house, but come on! Clark's name was changed to Jim. The annoyingly long rock tunnel is back. It's strange that we can trade Dugtrio, which you can't get until a bit later, for a Magneton, which you might already have. Eowyn can no longer parody the "She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain" song like in the Game Boy versions. Do you really need permission for songs like those? It's better that the machine parts near an inner tube than the pool where it'll be ruined, so that erases the sin, but replaces it with a new one. Once the gym trainers take these inner tubes, they'll see the machine part. So, Pat has nothing to do with the 6-in-a-row trainers, but then said he was acting as a 7th trainer so he could pull a dirty trick on us. Kevin has Charmeleon, Wartortle, and Rhyhorn? What, is Ivysaur chopped liver? Now we ruined Misty's chances with her new boyfriend. Bill's grandfather says he wants to see a cute yellow Pokemon with red cheeks. But he doesn't want to see Pikachu like you'd assume. He wants Pichu. Now it's clear that this game is deliberately trolling us. A seemingly tough sailor named Eddie uses an Azumarill. Misty's Psyduck finally evolved! Porygon still costs 9,999 coins in HeartGold, making the new coin system even worse. This man should at least ask if we want to hear a terrifying tale or not. Well, at least we're no longer stealing Stone's beloved Pokemon. They couldn't even turn off the happy Celadon City theme during this story. How did that guy not see that he was on Cycling Road? Cycling Road has lights on at night. Pressure Wake says something else I wouldn't like. How does Cameron keep finding us? Thank goodness this stupid old man no longer shows his perverted feelings towards the young woman in this gym, but I'm still giving one sin because I know his true intentions. The sprinkler is on, yet the floor is completely dry. Michelle thinks losing is gross. Honestly, Tanya, I prefer no girls-only gyms because that's too sexist. Am I the only one a bit weirded out by how Erica keeps saying, oh? This guy just found a Pokédoll someone dropped? If he didn't feel bad after you told him it was us, I'd say this guy's a jerk. Darn it, game, a third roaming legendary? Let alone one of low level? I guess the tear on the arm would be proof, but how do you know this isn't another Pokédoll that also has a rip? Is it because it wasn't kissed with coral blue semi-gloss lipstick? The Magnetrain is useless now since you can just fly to the Pokemon League, better the town you went to in Johto and Kanto, which takes an overall shorter time. This really upsets me because the train's actually even more awesome than it used to be. I actually kinda wish you couldn't do the flying thing. If you look at your boyfriend's face while battling, you won't pay enough attention to your Pokemon. Is Gale doing some idiotic bird call? Because that's the worst bird call I've ever heard. I don't know any birds that say that. If Purple Dinosaur, Fisherman Barney, thinks electricity is the most important, why is he a fisherman? Heck, all three of his Pokemon are Gyarados, which are quadruple weak to electricity. Perry talks about speed but uses a Farfetch. I wonder how many people will accuse Tim of being a feminist. It's awesome that Alex uses Royal Pokemon, but why do they replace his Seaking with Magikarp? Even if it's a joke, why not give him that in addition to it? Also, missed opportunity to give him a Slacking. Don't worry, Picnicker Ginger, I believe that you have a soul. The post-game trainer levels are better than Gold and Silver's, but Kenny didn't get the memo. It's not even to let our guard down to bring in a super powerful Pokemon. You talk about visiting where you got your Pokemon, yet you use a Psyduck, which isn't even found here? Seeing Carter talk about finding starter Pokemon brings up a good question. How do the professors get them if they're not in the wild? The Pokemon Time Capsule was much better than the Pal Park, because at least then you could actually trade back. Now every trainer disguises themselves as Janine. So if you want to face everyone and accidentally talk to the real Janine, you have to reset your DS. Barry tells you that he's Janine even after he takes off his disguise as if he underestimates your intelligence. Now he assumes you have a problem with cross-dressing. Janine's Pokemon are of lower level than some of the leaders you might have already fought. They couldn't even deactivate the walls after you win. Come on, Boris, you'd think we'd know to look in grass for Pokemon by now. Does Snorlax shrink since Gold and Silver? It's a lot harder to find the right radio station than it was in Gold and Silver. It's hard to take Herman seriously when he's battling with his eyes closed and not saying anything. So you're giving us something expensive just for breaking into your house? Rocky is scrambling when Edwin, one of his trainers, uses Golem. What's with gym leaders and not involving Rhyhorn? The Schultz guy returns, but his mom changed his name from Ben to Reggie's because she's a big Reggie Trio fangirl. If you came to these mountains for peace, why do you train your Pokemon to fight, and why didn't you try to avoid me? I know Silver hasn't returned his stolen starter because of a cutscene where Elm lets him keep it, but why doesn't he return Kirk's Sneasel? Now it's even clearer that you're stealing the Clefairy's Moonstone that wasn't the Kanto games. Again, by come back after a while, he means leave and come back and I'll be done. I love this remix, but not as much of it sounds like the original song. Abner, a bug catcher, uses Pikachu. It'll also be a great date for Agatha from Twilight Princess. Hey, be quiet! Here, let's have our Pokemon beat each other up. I wish this place gave experience like it used to. These trainers use level 40 Pokemon against new trainers from Pallet Town. Thank you, Danny, for stating the obvious. Did Oak's lab shrink? Sorry, Oak, but the trainers here really weren't all that tough for us, except maybe the gym leaders. I can't tell what to send, the fact that Nikki's making us help with her sunblock, or the fact that we're letting her get sunburned. Chilan talks about how much she loves bikinis. It's like they want us to sexualize these swimmers. How the heck did Esteban's teacher have a Poliwhirl face? Mina somehow holds her breath while commanding her Pokemon. Adrian is a jerk to the player, asking you if you're in a hurry but challenging you anyway. Nice change having the gym on Seafoam Islands instead of a town. But that means you must surf halfway through Route 20 if you lose. Most of Blade's trainers have only one Pokemon. Waldo wasn't that hard to find. Merle assumes you're pathetic just by your looks. It's definitely a pity that Cinnabar Island's gym burned down, but if this Blade is like the one in the anime who tried to kill Ash's Pikachu, he deserved to lose his gym. The semifinal of the 16 gym leaders has 3 Pokemon. Come on, the last 2 had 5. What's the point of Slowking? It's just Slowbro with its defenses switched. I see how Shadow clamping Slowbro's tail weighing it up helps it stand, but how does clamping its head do that? Porygon 2. What an original name. Blue, Lens, and Bruno's Pokemon somehow leveled backwards in the past 3 years. Guess Ash must have rubbed off on them. This badge is still the Earth badge despite the fact that Blue only has 1 ground Pokemon. You must go through convoluted methods in order to rematch gym leaders. Why did Surge use a Pachirisu? Wouldn't using Luxray make a million times more sense? I didn't know the Pokemon Sword and Shield haters were a move. I thought Lance only accepted challenges from people who beat the Elite Four. Silver's nicer to his Pokemon, but he's still an arrogant jerk to people. To think, I could have put him on my hated characters list this whole time. All this time I thought my hatred towards him was unjustified, only to learn that I was right to hate him. How dare you hurt my lovely Claire? Yeah, Silver, I'm not sure I want to be on your side. As a matter of fact, I feel like attacking your Pokemon too. Bell Tower doesn't have as many Pokemon as the Whirl Islands, so SoulSilver players have an unfair advantage. This song is good, but very overused. It's easy to get lost in Cerulean Cave. Stopping us from challenging the Elite Four does nothing when we're already the champion. Why hasn't Silver evolved its Sneasel and Magneton? Game thinks if they evolve his Golbat into Crobat to show that he's treating these Pokemon better will make me forget that he's an unlikable jerk to everyone else. Game is wrong. If you were really sorry for getting in our way, you wouldn't tell us to give up next time. Like most Pokemon games, once you re-enter the league, you're no longer the champion until you beat it again. You'd think Oak would stop being late after you beat the champion so many times. How long has Red been waiting in a blizzard? This is an awesome setup. Fighting the original player on top of a snowy mountain during a snowstorm. In Gold, Silver, and Crystal, it felt more like you fought him in some cave, but now it's definitely better. However, this is a huge difficulty spike. His Pokemon are 30 levels higher than the last major trainer. Also, while the hail helps with the mood, it's kind of annoying. I definitely prefer him having Lapras over Espeon, but that takes him away from how in the original game none of his Pokemon shared a type, giving him a bit more variety. The strongest trainer in the whole game has just a normal trainer defeated theme. Why not the gym leader defeated theme? I know why he's mute, but that makes it really hard to tell if he's proud of us for beating him or if he's upset that he lost. There's no Kanto leaders in the credits. I'm not saying getting to explore another region the first time wasn't good enough for me, but you don't get much after beating Red aside from 3 new Pokemon. The box art's just a white screen with a few images while its predecessors actually had backgrounds. We haven't even turned the system on and already there's a sin. This title theme is kinda lame compared with the DS version. This Toad's not afraid to tell his mother he skipped school. This Toad's home early, but dinner's already made. Either this Toad's school days are way too long, or this mother cooks too early. The first Blorb Toad is bigger than all the other ones. Luigi wears pink striped socks. They took food from some weird stranger. Didn't their mothers ever teach them about this? They're only finding out now that the blorbs were caused by the blorb mushrooms. No one calls Luigi out for sleeping during this meeting. Are you really that stupid? You did everything to deserve this. Bowser actually thought Toadsworth would back him up. The guy who broke a table wants to talk about acting nice. Luigi wasn't sleeping this close to the edge of the table before now. Wow, Peach actually did something useful for once. Deforestation. Bowser, with barely any questions, just decides to believe this creepy guy. Why do people say Bowser's smart again? Fawful still isn't dead. Now they attempt to cancel this all-too-important meeting? I feel like this game was made to appeal to the Vor community. Unlike the previous 2 Mario and Luigi games, this one's danger theme barely sounds intimidating at all. Part of it almost sounds bright and cheerful. Just listen. Why is Bowser like 1,000 times as big on the outside as he is on the inside? Superstar Saga DX brought tons of improvements, so I expected this remake to be more than just the same game with graphical updates and minor gameplay changes. Golden's speech patterns are extremely annoying. Battle transitions are a bit too long. Might be inside Bowser. Don't you remember getting inhaled? Don't be like that, Starlo. You were trapped in one of those things too. Don't blame him. Thank you for interrupting the game to tell veterans of the series what we already know. Starlo is a jerk to Luigi. Discount Froghopper. Stop giving us the same 2 starting brothers attacks. And why do they consume more brothers points than they used to? Thanks for this imagery of an egg burrowing into Bowser's flesh that doesn't look gruesome at all. Starlo, do you think I'm stupid? I'm so glad that the hammer's timing isn't anywhere near as awkward as it was in the DS version. Now you no longer have to get the correct microsecond. I know what you mean by it's a relief we got inhaled, but it almost sounds malicious. Bowser's stomach acid drowns you, but then respawns you in some pipe undigested. How is he not starved to death? Bowser looks like he has to take a diarrhea. Starlo talks out loud about not wanting Bowser to remember that he inhaled us. And Bowser still doesn't hear. How did Fawful put Tent on Bowser in this cave? How does Bowser not recognize Fawful from Superstar Saga? That would have been a nice throwback. Bowser forgets that he inhaled everyone as soon as he's told. These cutscenes are definitely cooler in 3D. Seriously? Now the villain's teaching us how to fight? Fawful's supposed to be intelligent. This is just infuriating. Jaboombas have dumb design. Bowser's as weirded out as I am. No, I don't understand. Traveling through the power of mind makes no sense. Someone at Nintendo said, hey, remember Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Omnia that came out last year? You know, the one that very few people knew about? Let's completely plagiarize the Boyland theme from that game, and because that game's unpopular, no one will notice our unoriginality. Well, they thought wrong. Also, plaque beats, as in teeth with plaque in them? Yep, they ran out of ideas. If you think that's dumb, black people are about as creative as a movie about emojis. This song's kinda dumb in my opinion. And the best part is we hear it all the time. Character falls upside down and thinks that the world is upside down cliché. This block turns Bowser into a discount Kirby. Self-decapitation. Does Broke Monsieur have some vor obsession? He somehow knew not to tell Bowser that we're inside him. If it's this easy to escape Bowser's stomach, why don't Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toadsworth, or the other Toads do the same? I'm just gonna say it, this game is a button masher. I'm gonna add 1 cent for each move that makes you mash the button. Bowser wouldn't like the taste of tooth monsters, especially with plaque. If Bowser has such godly strength like they want us to believe, how do his punches not destroy this fountain? If this fountain's always on, it's a huge waste of water. If Bowser drinks this much water, he'll definitely have to use the bathroom. We just dislocated Bowser's bone. Why is it so easy to lose control of yourself and render the A and B buttons ineffective while swimming sometimes? Our heroes just assume that Peach is up ahead. Why do proto-batters look like Yoshi heads? If Bowser has this weirdly shaped and weirdly named trombone, he should see a doctor. Mini Mario doesn't have cool micro-adventures like in Superstar Saga. Now they're nothing but slight interruptions. You still have to annoyingly carry your partner's unconscious bodies around. What's the point of that anyway? This pancake-shaped bug is enough to block Bowser's flame pipe. Bowser doesn't find it weird that Starlo stuttered to say her name. That's racist. And faces. Block dog abuse. Where did the Trevilles get the branches they throw? They have none. The Wiggler leaves the combination out in the open. Now he sent that Wiggler statue on a rampage and probably killed people. Monsieur Broke expects Bowser to help return something he lost. We know how to use this move, you don't need to give us another demonstration. Just say some vacuumed enemies give blitties. Froggy is a jerk to Broke. Please don't make me think of Bowser chewing up a little kitty like this. Oh wait, he spits it out unharmed somehow. Cram in the cage. No. These Goombas aren't the ones that Mario crushed. We saw them die when jumped on. Unless they have infinite one-up mushrooms. Overconfidence. I wonder how Bowser will react when he can no longer do this cool stuff when we're out of his body. When Kirby's Epic Yarn did this joke better despite ripping this joke off, that's not a good sign. If Bowser's so strong, why does he need all of his minions to use his stronger moves? Goomba, Koopa, and Shy Guy acting like army men probably inspired the terrible Bowser's minions and Bowser Jr.'s Journey side modes. If Bowser was there to be in charge, I doubt he'd do much better. Knowing Bowser, I doubt he'd ever say they did a good job at anything. Don't bonsai bills explode after a while? I don't think you should get your hopes up that you might find one. When has it ever been established that Bowser likes cheese? It's harder to lift a giant carrot than to pull an entire island. Maybe it's because Bowser's not even pulling it right. He'll just end up pulling the greens out of the carrot. If this Wiggler doesn't want anyone to know about this bonsai bill, why is he telling Bowser? Yeah, he doesn't say where, but he still mentioned it. Telling someone to eat something to take responsibility for stealing is practically rewarding them for stealing. I mean, you don't know that Bowser doesn't like it. That sounds very annoying. I hate this so much. Now this stupid Wiggler gets mad at us for doing what he told us to do. It wasn't funny with Toadstar and Superstar Saga, and it's even less funny here. This isn't funny at all, but whatever makes us fight a Wiggler in every Mario and Luigi RPG, and I can't believe this game got us to sympathize with Bowser of all characters. He keeps the bonsai bill under the Giga Carrot? How has he been getting to it without plucking it out? These stupid bifiduses walk in front of Dermite after seeing it eat their brethren. Starlo believes this birdo-faced worm means no harm, yet still insists on exterminating it. Why can't you just get it to stop hurting Bowser? Yes, there's an enemy that poops you out. In a kid's game. Yeah, this is definitely gonna cause some major internal damage to Bowser. Characters talk bad about someone not knowing that character's right there cliché. Also, they're not entirely wrong when they say he has a tiny brain. You mean we did all that running around and put up with a stupid unfunny Wiggler for nothing? That's kind of funny, but in the direction he's facing, he should at least see some light. Bowser survives this. Yes, you go inside Bowser's butt in this game. How is Bowser's butt a sacred place? These giant boss fights are awesome. However, they're the main thing that causes all these fanboys to think that Bowser's so godlike. Because these idiots think he can turn huge at will, even though he never would have done that without Mario and Luigi's help. Well, now Bowser just crushed some innocent people. Not that he'd care. 38 seconds of Bowser walking towards the castle. Did they really need to get close to see that it's us when we're like 50 feet tall? This would surely kill everyone inside the castle. Game goes by Superstar Saga logic where even damaged structures can fly. I love crossing gaps with Bowser's punch, but with his weight, not possible. Game once again makes people feel terrible for doing what we're supposed to do. At least this time it's because its writers are looking out for our heroes. But why do Bowser's Monty-Mo troops care about what happens to the brothers? This isn't exactly my favorite Mario and Luigi game, but that was pretty funny. How can they hear each other from this distance? How many times do we have to use the arm outpost? Bowser kinda has a point. These Goomba's lens are actually kind of annoying. Bowser saw his minions being controlled in that giant battle he was just in, so why is this new information to him? How will a reptile and ghostly head-thing relationship work? That tour guide Goomba that this Koopa's talking about must have been raised by Herbie from Superstar Saga. Knowing Bowser, I think he'd kick someone out of their seat so he could have it. Man, I'm glad I stopped writing down what NPCs say 5 years before I first got the original version, or I'd have to restart my system a million times to write all this. Bowser doesn't notice this giant line dividing the floor. Does this game have any knowledge on Bowser's weight? I preferred when Fawful said, I have fury instead of I have turtles. Why is this no longer a cage battle? That was awesome. Is this really a one-on-one fight if Bowser's minions are assisting him? If they weren't, Bowser would get his butt kicked for sure. These Goombas are strong enough to pull super heavy Medbus without arms. Bowser seriously just ate 6 whole dishes without gaining weight. Yeah, he does eventually, but it takes 12 meals for him to finally gain weight. Bowser's shell doesn't explode from all this fat. Game rips off the fairy fountain from Link to the Past. This creature is a jerk to Luigi by throwing him in this way. Alright, our treasure of everlasting wonder was another tutorial. Stop lecturing us, you stupid star! Bowser just said he hates having his castle be a theater, but then says he might make it his own theater once he reclaims it. Bowser teaches kids that vegetables are bad for you for the sake of this joke. Don't ever say that again! The jump helmet's too imprecise. He can look at you. He's inside you, genius! There's too many questions now, and the correct path you get told about is the path I would have guessed anyway. We spin jumped all 12 Alpha Kraton spheres away, but only 6 come back. Who are you and what have you done with Starlo? I'd imagine she'd have cared more about getting out and be like, I can't be inside this disgusting beast, it's bad for my beauty, or something like that. It's out of character for Bowser to be this down on himself. Why can't Peach move out of the way, other than to once again get kidnapped? Princess Peach style. Okay, I thought his lust for Peach was creepy and disgusting before, but now he literally says he likes having Peach inside him. That's where Bowser officially breaks me. So now I'm going to give 10 cents instead of 3. Ugh, really guys? Giving Bowser a treadmill so he can get back into shape to potentially stop you? Of course she's heavy, considering all the toads up her dress. Why can't the brothers go through these tunnels? This outpost in one of Bowser's legs controls both legs. Does he have 2 left legs? I guess Bowser inhaling these pipes explains this, but I specifically remember him only inhaling 2 pipes. Also, why can't the other trap people escape the same way? Also, I guess people will wander into pipes and then end up inside Bowser. And if Bowser fell into one of these pipes, he'd end up inside his own stomach. Then there'd be another Bowser inside him, and another Bowser inside that Bowser, and this is too confusing! They really did go as low as to have a farting bird in it. Donkey Kong called. He wants his barrel cannons back. You just told us how to get out of the shell, then you asked why we did it. These generators broke, but this one completely disintegrated. Did they run out of resources and decide to make one from paper? Fawful can't even rhyme with Fawful. How about what I'm doing is really awful? Let's leave this toad here instead of getting him to a hospital or anything. This person's house has a hole in the roof, so it'll be easy for rain to get in. How did Bowser get here? Isn't he supposed to be unconscious? And how does he know we're after the Dark Star? Bowser doesn't recognize Starlo's familiar voice. His fire breath wasn't this unavoidable. This idiot couldn't wait until Bowser left the room to tell us the Star Cure's location. Totally doesn't question us talking about being inside Bowser. Mario and Starlo aren't phased that Luigi sunk in these digestive acids and survived. Oh my gosh, why did they make Broke Madame one of the most disturbing things I've seen? I think I need to wash my eyeballs. She even acts like she wants to flirt with us. I don't blame this Goomba for not wanting to massage this monstrosity. Hitting her head should give her a concussion, not massage her back. I love this song, but it rips off Grape Garden's theme from Kirby's Adventure. Oh great, they made these Crawfles look like Barney. Not only that, but Bowser can inhale the Crawfles' dentures. That's kinda gross. Bowser's not the kind of guy that would stop to smell the flowers. I'm pretty sure pollen doesn't work like that. This swollen one actually looks really painful. I think a sneeze that strong would injure Bowser. Bowser's eating a mushroom, which the game says he doesn't eat. Well, now it looks like Bowser's locked in. But if he thinks he's so awesome, why doesn't he believe he can punch open the door? Sorry, Yick, but X-rays have already been invented. If it lets you see inside him, he should see that we're inside him. Thankfully, he doesn't. X-rays are said to be painful if you use them for too long, but this doesn't hurt Bowser. Stop with the disturbing wording! Bowser keeps walking away, making it take longer now. I hate Nap's enemies. We have to watch their attacks spin until we get dizzy. This game even has a brother's attack with the same problem. Driving the spike into Bowser's flesh cannot be comfortable. Our leather shoes can still dig into the ground. Drawer. Way to rip off Spider-Man. Nintendo, we're not idiots. So stop making this move's hint so obvious. Are these teeth surrounding this store? What are they doing here? Toadsworth has been snooping as usual for new information. Tell me that wasn't one of his bones. Goompa's a jerk to Bowser. Why do Sneeds give more experience than Fliffits? Wouldn't the other way around make more sense? Block fins don't sound very sharp. Bowser wouldn't like something called the Peace Ring. There's actually an enemy called a Borb. Somewhat lazy excuse to check off the Yoshi appearances off the Mario RPG required thing list. This game has 6 thwomps, as if they couldn't get any less creative. Besides, seeing them get worse after you take away their ice pack actually gives me a headache just like them. Unlike in the original game, Bowser doesn't even do anything to counter Starlow's point by bringing up the whole "I'll work it off" thing. Why the heck did they need to change that? Now Bowser only needs to do a few stretches to lose weight. I wish burning off calories was that easy. In so many other instances, Bowser needed our help to do things like this. Now he can push this huge statue without us? Make up your mind, Alpha Dream. Bowser just slaughtered his own minions and we couldn't even see them explode. Bowser's Secret Society? By that, you mean BS Society. I don't care how strong he is. There's no way Bowser's able to slow down a train with his bare hands, even for a few seconds. We just saw the eye windows break, but they're magically fixed in this shot. How do you know this bridge won't collapse with you guys on it too? Also, Bowser can't survive falling down this chasm, but he can survive black holes in Galaxy 2. Bowser was inconsistently strong before now he's inconsistently weaker. Thanks for telling us how to hurt you. We just saw Bowser straight up commit a murder on his own former minions. And the intense music in the background doesn't help. This is how this game chooses to pat out its lane. Bowser's minions don't find it weird that he's talking to his stomach. Now let's get into his brain, which I'm surprised he even has one. Seeing those things in his brain shrink doesn't look healthy. You can't leave Bowser until you fix the problem, which involves a difficult boss fight. Why? Stop saying Repel Virus over and over again. It's incredibly annoying. Why do the Memory Brothers make such weird sounds when they move? Seriously? Game, we're not stupid. We know who's being attacked. Now this antivirus program tells us the combination, proving that this is a terrible antivirus program. No wonder Bowser's so stupid in the main games. Good job, Bowser, saying the combination out loud for everyone to hear. They can push 10,000-pound Bowser into the safe. Okay, fanboys, if Bowser's so godlike, how come he can't even dent the safe? I mean, yeah, it's made of heavy metal, but stop exaggerating. Game only shows inside the safe so I don't have to explain how they carried a giant heavy metal safe. With Bowser in it. Act like an adult? Even an adult would panic in this situation. He could be stuck in it forever for all he knows. This safe probably doesn't even have any air holes. Yes, let's check Bowser's gut. He swallowed something that might not even be important. Seeing the Stark here covered in spit is actually kinda disgusting. How does holding an inflatable Mario make Luigi jump higher? Is this helium? Inhaling too much helium can kill you. Isn't this picture supposed to be behind the cross-out sign? These enemies are called Morphomos? Guess I shouldn't expect creative enemy names from what we've seen. Drill-bit crabs are hard to dodge. I hope Cuzzo isn't one of the Koopas that Mario stomped. Old character can't hear well cliché. Why are penguins on a beach? Of course Bowser wouldn't do this puzzle right with his claws. We're high enough to see space and aren't exploding from lack of oxygen. Chakron, I know you're busy, but does the fate of the world not mean anything to you? Luigi must have some Star Cure Sage butt obsession. Broke Monsieur didn't have a problem with us when he saw us inside Bowser before. Now he does? Sock Ops are actually really creepy. How will collecting 6 attack pieces prove that we won't wreck these woods? Whose butt does this Wiggler get his logic from, and what are we supposed to like about him? His cringe-inducing attempts at humor that don't even try? Sock Op cannibalism. I doubt Luigi will beat these cutlets before Mario gets digested. Even if it deserved it, the fact we caused this kind of infection from inside? How much gruesome imagery does this game have? This Sock Op doesn't notice the head sticking out of the boss. Also, how does it know this one looks like the boss? They look the same except for the boss, who's bigger but is now the same size. How does Karibo expect to eat this block? Why would it eat it in the first place? Are the mouths all on their heads? If so, how can we understand them, let alone when this one has a block in its mouth? Are you kidding? How is that Sock Op still alive? Yep, our awesome earthquake attack is Luigi eating to get fat to shake the ground. If that's not a sign of running out of ideas, I have no idea what is. Plus, now it's slower than it was in the original. Luigi burns off all this weight so quickly. You got over this disruption you were upset about quite well because you're in a new pose for a century where you'll have all the blood rush into your head. The Blorb Toads were able to fit through this hospital door. Star Cure Triforce. And their combined form doesn't look very good. Seeing these Toads return to normal raises a question. How did their clothes still fit them as blorbs? This Toad, who was apparently born this way, brings back terrible memories of when those idiots gave my disturbing Mario moments list false views that were only there for that one flaw when I said I feel bad for disabled people. Especially since those viewers were hypocrites, getting mad at me for a potentially offensive statement, but also laughing at said statement about disabled people, proving they're not any better. We just ruined someone's fireplace just to get some socks and beans. Why would you make a third of your house inaccessible? What a waste of space! I guess we should just forget our past adventure when we put an end to the shrooms, since some survived. How did Bowser get his hands on them anyway? And why is Elder Princess Shroom in the background? She was reduced to nothing. For an optional boss, these shrooms are wimps. Starlo's a complete jerk to Luigi. Wow, I didn't even know I wanted this castle to have a darker shading. By telling them that paying 30 coins doesn't phase us, we're encouraging them to raise the price. If this move didn't slow down the frame rate in the DS version, what excuse could they possibly have for it here? These fall-featured statues look more impassable than they really are. Yes, Bowser's bigger, but we can easily outsmart him, so don't get your hopes up. Midbus has been watching too much of Just a Pancake's Kingdom Hearts parodies. Midbus thinks Junker's ready because he's having a seizure. So enemies were inside these trash cans. Do they fade from existence if Junker throws Luigi into one? Junker's malfunction conveniently caused him to bring us the safe that Bowser's in, which shouldn't break this easily. If the safe was brought all the way here, how did they have it thrown here so quickly after Bowser was trapped in it? The castles aren't that close to each other. Toadsworth accidentally named a Kingdom Hearts song, reminding me that I'd rather be playing Kingdom Hearts. Ugh, now they pad out the game even more by having almost 5 minutes of you doing absolutely nothing. Time to add 5 cents for bringing back one of Thousand Year Door's only real annoyances of breaking gameplay just to make a horribly unfunny joke. How are we not getting thrown around when we're inside Bowser using this rolling move? Bowser shouldn't be able to break these Fawful statues this quickly. Now that we're in the castle, we get this epic theme. As I said in my Superstar Saga video, I've always been kinda grossed out by when creatures have a snot bubble coming out of their nose when they sleep. Knot blocks look like rejected Banjo-Kazooie enemies. This Fawful-copter can fly high enough to leave the screen without hitting the ceiling first. Bowser freed 12 Magic Koopas, but only 6 help you. This Magic Koopa shouldn't be dissing Bowser's teeth if he doesn't want Bowser to hurt him. This room's cool, but kinda trippy. This part's awkward to control. Fawful's been watching too much of Just a Pancake's parodies too. Well, that was stupid of Bowser to do. He needs to learn to keep his mouth shut. Get ready to get sick of this area if you want to challenge the battle ring. Not as much as Neo Bowser Castle because Dream Team has a hard mode, but this is still annoying, even with the much more awesome design. Of course Luigi's shivering. It's below the freezing point of water. What did you expect? Some kind of tropical island? This all-powerful being infested Bowser's airway with fish. Dark Star is consuming Bowser's DNA, which is going to rewrite bits of Bowser's personality, which is just gruesome. Unless it absorbs the part of him that's obsessed with Peach. It's hard to take Dark Star seriously with those arms. I hope Bowser didn't need that bone. How is the Lepto-Globin not being able to talk a bad thing? That means less annoying Globin talk. Why is there electricity inside someone's body? Yep, the best way to deal with this all-powerful entity's minions is to eat and get fat. Let's have one of his attacks reenact the musical mushroom minigame. Surely that won't kill the mood at all. He stays unconscious for way too long now. Are you saying we fought Dark Star for nothing? It's awesome that Peach's castle is a giant boss in this game, but wouldn't it make more sense to fight it before entering it for the first time? Okay, this is a pretty intense boss fight. When it escapes, it gives more damage to you than you did to it. Why? Game deliberately lies to us by saying that stepping back will end this. Game told us earlier that there's absolutely no hope of winning if it gets Bowser's DNA, yet we still have a chance. Bowser's best move is calling one of the first bosses. If he was able to beat Broggy on his own, why does Broggy's first attack give more damage than Bowser? And why does Brock trust public enemy number 1 with his dog anyway? A washing a dog attack. Why was this a fan favorite Mario & Luigi RPG game again? Bowser's the king of stupid? They said it, not me. Looks like Fawful really has fury now. I hate this blasted defense move. Face it, Bowser, you only won because of your minion attacks. If you fought him solo, he'd destroy you. Especially with how cheap that fight was. Dark Bowser's supposed to be a Bowser replica with all of his strength, plus Fawful and the Dark Star's power. So Bowser should be losing this fire breathing contest. I know Dark Star X isn't red because he'd blend in, but why is he yellow? Now he can fight a Bowser-sized Bowser inside himself, who can grow huge without making the real Bowser explode. This game is making infinitely negative sense now. Are you kidding me? Bowser X can fully heal now? What were these morons thinking? That actually makes me appreciate the fact that they didn't bring back the challenge medal. There's no boss gauntlet for Bowser unless you count giant bosses. Bowser is told we're inside him, but then forgets instantly. I'd remove 5 sins for this awesome boss theme, but it loops for way too long considering how long this fight is, so I'll only remove 2. This part can easily be worded the wrong way. Seeing Bowser put his hand on his stomach like this kind of ruins the mood, and so do the snack basket and Broggy Bunker. Game just outright copies Dementia's death in Super Paper Mario. Also, I hope you enjoyed the last time someone other than Bowser was the main antagonist in the Mario RPG for the next 11 years. Also, Fawful died in Superstar Saga only to come back. So what makes this any different? I'm glad everyone made it out safely, but now there's an unattended shop inside Bowser. It's easy to forget this post-credit scene 5 minutes after it. Bowser hires the elite trio back even after they push him into a giant safe. Okay, I've been hard on this game, but seeing that Peach also made a cake for Bowser is actually kind of nice to see. But how did these sparklers not burn through the box? Seizure warning! Some of this male dog's default names can be Peach or Misty. It's kind of weird this place is named Eagleland, and yet there's very few eagles here, if at all. Ness was just sleeping in his bed, and then he gets out very quickly, yet his bed is still completely made. I wish my bed was like his. What is this picture frame supposed to be? It looks like a portrait of a skull sitting on top of a Kabuto with boots has been turned sideways. Is this supposed to be adult humor? If so, this joke is not funny at all. Liar X Atterate. That name is actually kind of funny, but it makes you wonder why his mom gave him that name. Yeah, I know I'm questioning logic in a game where parking meters and driverless taxis attack you, and where you get psychic powers, but where's the fun in seeing this game if I can't? Besides, this game tends to have some realistic elements in it. Pokey is ramming into these cops and signs, and now this horrible mother's making us answer the door when someone's knocking like a psychopath. Flirting with our mom. Now our mom makes us answer the phone when she sent us to go out, while she meanwhile isn't doing anything. Siblings have to have very similar names, cliché. Now we're stealing from her sister. Character from the future is here to warn us that the future is bleak, cliché. Wisdom, courage, and friendship? The Earthbound Triforce is a jerk to power. Starman are enemies? Wow, this game really hates Mario. Pokey's mom's canonical name is Lordna. Her mother must not have cared about her. Pokey's dad punishing them sounds like he's flipping some sort of switch to torture them. Good father you are. Buzz's death comes straight out of nowhere by getting comedically smacked, but most of his dialogue seems serious. So is this a satire or an actually sad scene? I know we were out a long time, but it's dawn already? It was 2 in the morning like 15 minutes ago. Does time go by as fast as it does in the Zelda universe? In the overworld, this dog's ears are like a husky's or Yorkie's, but in battle, its ears are more like a Cocker Spaniel's and a Labrador's. We can only borrow maps at the library? Human Shy Guy. This photographer's kind of funny, but he can eventually get pretty annoying when you're just trying to progress. Okay, I'll take some sins off for this great feature. If you back attack a certain enemy when you're strong enough, that enemy instantly dies and you gain experience. Lousy mayor cliché. That's actually kind of funny. Ness can hear these guys whispering from all the way out here. Ness doesn't go blind from this. Yeah, take a hamburger from the garbage can. It's not like you'll get sick. This arcade is called Game. Very creative name for this place. It took 19 years for people to finally have an easy way of getting this game. And we have this song to blame for that. I get that they prolonged the runaway system because it's supposed to comedically build up tension, but it just comes off as annoying. Tracy works at the X-Cargo Express? She's too young. I wish cars reacted this fast in real life. Obvious discount Zelda Fairy. The boss theme in this game sounds partially like the final hours theme from Majora's Mask. No fair! The policemen can go through this house faster than us! I like this, but they could have at least turned the net music off to make these songs conflict less. This sign says you should have the pleasure of owning this luxurious home by the shore, no matter how much money you have, but this man charges $7,500 for it. Speaking of which, it's not even that nice. I get that it's a joke, but scamming us is not funny. What, do meteorite attacks happen all the time here? These cops agree to supporting child abuse to test your skill. That's fattest. Captain Strong has an unsettling enemy battle theme for his battle theme. Kinda random, but then again this song doesn't even sound all that unsettling anyways. This person is excited about a meteorite that could have killed everyone. There's a chaos theater in this game. I wonder if it has people like Alex or Josh Scorcher or Fawful's minion working there. Looks like the Runaway 5 have 2 more members, probably Sully Pones and Josh Jepson. Magic bus that doesn't turn its wheels. Every form of media in the world needs to have the damsel in distress cliché. And before you call me a feminist, I just don't understand why this cliché is just so common. This guy is disgusting saying that flies would make his sandwiches taste better. The pot seller is admitting that he's considering stealing in an area where people can hear him. It feels weird that you can go to a preschool in this game. Paula's mother doesn't care about her daughter's safety. What a ripoff! You can only use the bike when solo, even though for most of the game you're in a group. This is one of the reasons I don't like this game as much as I like Pokemon. Then again, why would it matter since it's barely any faster, and when you're talking to someone on the bike, you are immediately forced to get off, and you can't even use it when your friends are unconscious. And even when you try to return it, the man acts like a bully. Now we just stole Paula's teddy bear and are going to use it as a shield against enemies. I wonder how long it'll be until Woody teams up with a bunch of mutant toys and scares us into playing nice. Now we must give money to the Apple Kid, check the statue, and then leave in order to get past this part. How in the heck was anyone supposed to find that out on their own? After you beat Territorial Oaks, they explode, and if you run out of health during it, it triggers a glitch that can mess up your game big time. Thankfully you can avoid it if you mesh through the text boxes fast enough, so I'm adding 3 cents instead of 10. Are you sure these are trumpets I'm hearing, or is this fart music? Super Blue? I know it's supposed to see the town being painted blue as a bad thing, but what's wrong with the color blue? Yeah, Mr. Carpenter is threatening people, but the game's still implying that blue is bad. The fact that a small child even stands a chance against a bear. I know he's a kid with psychic powers, but you can beat him with your normal moves. I hate homesickness so much. It can happen like 5 minutes after you last called home, and it happens at random. When it happens, Ness won't do what you want him to do. I don't care if it's supposed to make this game feel realistic. This is worthy of 5 cents. So these are the Lilliput steps. I wonder if an alternate universe has a Herdput steps or a Stelaput steps area in this game. Mr. Carpenter's electric attacks might as well not exist since they just reflect off your Franklin badge and hit him. This cultist wants to get out of here, then stays put. Paula's surprisingly great for someone her age, but we get her at level 1. This Mr. Saturn thinks he's one of the 7 dwarfs. When your characters die, you have to take them to the hospital. Makes sense, but even if you get game over, it's really cute that people say Paula's our girlfriend, but how do they know that we're interested in love yet? I understand some people hit puberty around the age of 12, but Ness looks much younger than he actually is. Gremlin evil mushrooms are annoying because of their ability to reverse your directions. In the Japanese version, your mom asks you if you're feeling better after hearing her sexy voice. She's saying that to her own child. Who does she think she is, Lusamine? This woman is a jerk to her husband. Every comedy ever needs to have an unfunny fart joke somewhere. Imaginary Gary's theme from Fairly Odd Parents? If their bus is too loud for ghosts to bother them, why couldn't Ness have just made a lot of noise to draw them away while he was going through the tunnel? Even though everything's dreary and 3 as of now, when you look out the house windows, everything looks fine. I guess it would make sense that this guy would think Tessie's just a model, but how would he explain the blinking? This blackboard's completely clean. Do you know how much of a nightmare it is to clean them? Ditching school. Wouldn't it be better for this guy to lie down next to the wall since the gate's more dangerous to climb over? This stupid bubble monkey keeps getting into battles by running in random directions. Gum bubble floating. What are ducks doing in a cave? This man says we're kids, even when there's only 1 kid in our party. Does every elderly genius ever need to have the same hairdo that Dr. Andronauts has? Also, he looks old for the father of a kid. He just accepts the fact that someone talked to us telepathically. The scavenger is much faster near the ground than it is in the clouds. If this guy's against us, why is he telling us how to beat the zombies? Jeff's the genius of the group, but his starting IQ is low. Game can't IQ properly. The Bogey 10's face is the last thing to disappear like it's a discount Cheshire Cat. Wow, I referenced that movie in my Everything Wrong With series more than I thought. Either the zombie paper's the same color as the 10th floor or it's invisible. They give no indication that you're supposed to stay at the hotel while waiting for the zombies. This zombie somehow knows that we're the ones who put up the zombie paper. What's the point of this town's inn if this Mr. Saturn right next to it can restore your health for free? This game literally makes you do absolutely nothing for 3 minutes. Master Belch cares about safety? And he can write? These here enemies have such disgusting names. Kids will get in trouble for saying it. Why would you have a giant pile of puke in a kid's game? We just washed off all that puke in the hot spring and no one will want to go in it now. This enemy's name shouldn't be in a kid's game. This kid can't find his house, and now he's going to have to sleep on the streets and die. This nice and pleasant bus driver just leaves us in the middle of a desert. The department store spook is a discount Bowser. An enemy's attack is grumbling about today's youth, proving this game does have some funny moments. Forsyth's a nice place, but it isn't as big as it seems. I know that Top Hollow Theater has its letters like this, but if you were to look at it in real life, all the letters would be diagonal. Yep, I'm being a jerk. Yes, they really sense seductive in a kid's game. Nice. You tell us that people get eaten by dinosaurs, then you tell us to look for dinosaurs. Who the heck bets their shirt on a game of solitaire? Who left $1,000 in the middle of the desert? Are you sure this is a gigantic ant and not a gigantic bee? The grown man's asking kids to sleep here. Sure was nice of this bus to stop when this random bulldozer came up, and if the driver somehow knows that George wants to talk to Ness. This woman talks about dumping her boyfriend when she's in earshot of him. An arms dealer is in the back of a department store expecting no one to find him by these boxes. Also, why does an arms dealer care about us? Game goes into the damsel's distress cliche twice in the same game, and with someone much more competent than Peach could ever be. Ness doesn't recognize his own former best friend. Why do we need to let these guards remove us? We have psychic powers! This This remix of the Star Spangled Banner is another reason this game didn't get to us sooner. You're right, it really isn't funny. The bartender's eye patch switches sides when we talk to him from this side. Nearly everything's pitch black and moonside, making it hard to navigate. The area is inconsistent with the whole opposite thing. All these enemies on screen slow down the frame rate. I understand the opposite thing in the place, but sometimes you won't want to spend money on something but then end up buying it anyway. Now we learned that moonside was an illusion, and this whole time we were walking around this warehouse. But were we running into walls during this? And what if we opened the door by mistake while opening one of the doors in the dream? Then we'd be walking around town attacking people like maniacs while we mistake them for enemies. Game pulls the Majora's Mask well on us by making us keep going back to get all these items you might not expect to need. You have to get the fresh egg, then bring it here fast before it hatches. Runaway 5X Machina. They don't tell you that you have to have saved the Runaway 5 to be able to do this. How do you have no money? You're musical geniuses. Why don't you get any money for your performances? I knew you'd save me, Cliché. I understand Monotoli was under Giga's control, but what did he need Paula for? Cool, will Shrek be there? Too many toasters? Embarrassing parent, Cliché. Game has us get the next piece of the 8 melodies in the wrong order. This is the third part of the song, but the fourth part we're getting. These crocodiles really are strong. How are they staying on their tail? And how did they change from brown to blue? These whirling robos, woolly shamblers, and lesser mooks can spawn quite early, even though you're no match for them at this point. At least it's not like in the Game Boy Advance version of Superstar Saga where you can fight Tenumas and Paratroopes before you get to Bean Bean Castle Town without them giving you so much of a hint that you're no match for them while at the same time forcing you to redo the progress you already did. I'm pretty sure the Skyrunner would leave more rubble than that. But I'll just take off 15 cents here so I can save you time instead of having to take off cents for the other songs I want to talk about in this game. Just what we need. The game to introduce payphones. I wouldn't mind that if that wasn't how you save your game. First off, we don't look that serious. Second off, you're a real jerk and I hate you. This guy fails at being a grave robber if he's telling random children this. Does this dog think he's Dr. Seuss? This equipment is extremely overpriced. Why? I mean, I understand we're not supposed to have it yet, but how are we supposed to know that? This person isn't accurate. Tropical places rain a lot. They're not always sunny. Well, that man was mean to land on the table. This woman just drugged children. Dalam was originally going to be a form of land that was shaped like water being sprayed from an elephant's trunk. Why did they get rid of that? Then again, if they didn't, I'd still stand for the fact this land somehow hasn't lost balance and caused mass genocide. This person's hairdo was literally used as a phone, so I guess he predicted the telephonesis joke in the movie Shorts. Which I seem to be the only one in the world who remembers that movie, and even if someone remembers it, it'll likely be the nostalgia critic doing a review of it. How does Ness's father know Pooh's number? I have no idea how this idiot became a fan favorite. This part's kind of annoying since you don't have many ways of knowing that you have to stand here even when you're told to stop. And if you get distracted, you have to walk all the way back to the palace and talk to the master in order to do this again. This person is a jerk to Pooh for lying like this. Also, I understand that we're supposed to avoid distractions, but what if a real emergency happens when we're doing this? Propeller tables. Great job, Venus. Writing your autograph on that banana. It's not like it'll dry off considering how it's on a banana peel or anything. Game makes it look like she's slapping us even though she isn't. Walking through the sewer water is actually kind of disgusting if you think about it. I mean, especially since they actually show stuff in the sewer. What's that thing on the back of the plague rat of doom? Is it rotting flesh or bones sticking out? That's creepy. The background of this fight looks like a chosen artifact. Carrot key. Hey, deadly mice, shouldn't you guys be in Dreamland stealing a pink puffball's cake? The only way is to get rid of possession or to die or to see this guy at a hospital because you can't cure it with an item. So now this cop's gone from being Scar to being a grown-up Bart Simpson. This woman is hitting on someone who's too young for her. Saying Ness isn't some kind of mama's boy is somewhat inaccurate when he keeps hesitating to fight because he keeps thinking about his mom even 5 minutes after talking to her. This Kraken doesn't look like a Kraken, he looks like some kind of giant eel. It feels a little bit weird to have 2 desert levels in this game. Discount Agrabah. I bet Dungeon Maker is a cool guy. I just hope he didn't get rid of Amiibo functionality and force you to pay if you want to upload your courses or play anyone else's courses. Enough with the lame toilet humor. It's not funny. It's things like this why I think this game's kind of overrated. Hey, is that an angry mom outside my door? But why would the snake only bite the enemy and not us? This shop sells a broken item. Piggy nose. How did the Escargo Express guy get all the way up here to Dalam? Speaking of which, is it even possible to get up here without teleporting? I'm kind of curious as to what the Tengu is supposed to be. He looks like Will Smith attached to Mary's mother from the SpongeBob episode Chocolate with Nuts. Next can see Apollo's dress when climbing down these convenient ropes. This surprisingly doesn't count as a back attack. The Kiss of Death just gives me the creeps. It's like pretty much every Sanctuary Guardian has practically copy-pasted dialogue. Which one of the Thunder and Storm guys is the dominant one? The Pink Cloud Shrine takes a very short time to get to as opposed to the other Your Sanctuary locations. I feel this song is supposed to sound beautiful, but the fact that the 8 melodies are distorted completely ruins it. The photographer doesn't sweat in the desert like us. The pyramid theme is just weird. Food items restoring your health does kind of make sense, but at the same time not really. It's not like getting cut by an enemy will get healed by eating hot sauce. Grave robbing. How do these sentient hieroglyphics eat? Not only do they not seem to have visible mouths, but even if they do eat, their food would probably go right through them. Who puts question marks on coffins? The Guardian General looks sillier than his henchmen. This Gelato Day resort hasn't melted in the desert. Illuminati symbol. By live far away from us for a while, you mean for 39 minutes. Did he borrow Link's flute? And then he just leaves the only ones who can save the world in the middle of a harsh desert. The way Dungeon Man says that we're inside of his body sounds really disturbing and not even in a funny way. And how did he even write notes inside of himself? Aren't we too strong to be fighting these guys? Okay, first off, gross. Second off, I'm pretty sure your belly button would be seen from the outside. The good night bench apparently has enough space for 4 people to sleep. And how funny is it that no enemies seem to kill us while we're asleep? Brick Road's frontal sprite looks stupid. Roll credits. This guy's much smaller than he was when we were inside him. The Dungeon Man, who could destroy enemies very easily, can knock down a few trees. How did this game predict annoying hand-holding in modern games? 46 seconds of submarine riding. Aside from this person trying to rob us of money, how is he even able to store our money for us? And how is he not getting killed by the poisoned swamp water? Messabouch just told us he changed his name to Puke, but when you target him, it says he changed his name to Barf. And why is he red now? Does he now throw up of someone who threw up blood? Pooh ex machina. This is the only time in the whole game where you need the eraser. Starman Supers can't be fought after this point in the game. What a great parent you are, trusting random kids with your son. Since the lights keep turning on and off in this place where we're walking on these platforms past gaps, how are we not falling into them? Oh wait, invisible walls. If these people can't breathe in these tubes, how are they not dead? They got out of the tubes without them breaking. Oh, great faith in me. An item called Deathray has no use now that you have the bazooka. This guy's literally a sentient rock, and he must have literally the most miserable life in the world. He's stuck planted here and never being able to have any fun. That just makes me uncomfortable. I bet that people will be offended by the uncontrollable spear's design. There's a bag of Dragonite in this game. I wonder what happened to the bag of Dratinian Dragonair. Thanks for giving me that image. This is an awesome wall, but I guess we should be glad that Nuts is only 12 because then he'd probably have disturbing secrets and his friends would be there to find out. Since these dinosaurs are impossibly bigger than you, stepping on you should kill you. Also, there's only 2 species of dinosaur here, with only one of them seeming as big as the map suggests. And what's with that dead stare in its eyes? It's creepy. You're telling a 12-year-old kid that he smells good. How do geysers heal me? Interesting, but does this bird actually have phone powers? Or is this bird actually imitating the people that we're talking to and somehow able to do those things that said characters are doing? The Escargo Express guy couldn't find us in a jungle, but he could find us on top of some cloud-like mountain that's literally impossible to go to on foot. 98 seconds of this rock telling us stuff we already know. Sometimes Lumin Hall is called Lumin Hole, which is obviously inconsistent. I don't think that Paula should be wearing her pink Alice dress to a volcano. I'm just surprised she's wearing it on a perilous journey. Wait, that's not an Alice dress? It's just a skirt? Well, limitations really made sprites easy to misinterpret. We get heat stroke when we're in a desert, but when we're literally inside a volcano, that doesn't count because this volcano probably has invisible air conditioners everywhere. I know I'm late to say this, but when the text boxes turn red when one of your party members faints, it kinda hurts my eyes for some reason. Dog abuse. Yep, the last of the 8 melodies is just one note. Wow, this is actually a really nice dream sequence. But in the Japanese version, Ness is naked. That's disturbing and ruins the mood. What is this? Does Ness remember all the way back when he was a baby? And were his parents invisible in the scene? Is Ness actually able to talk to his parents in the real world from his dream? Is he sleep talking? Is Everdread peeing in the bushes? I mean, I know people do that, but it's weird to see in a Nintendo game. Everyone's forming a line to read this sign. Your inventory space fills up very quickly, and that's one of the many gameplay annoyances in this game. If it weren't for things like this, EarthBound would have been higher on my favorite SNES games. It's still a good game, but here's 3 cents. And now you can take items out of your dream and bring them to the real world. Is this game going by SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom logic now? Route teleportation. The player's guide says that the Kraken drops a gutsy bat, even though they don't. So because you can't return to this area, people can spend so much time here looking for it but not find it. So I'm going to add 3 cents. I hate this boss. The Evil Eye's location is disgusting. Tracy gives us a serious dialogue and then transitions straight into comedic dialogue. After this, you can't go back at all, so if you want to do more in this game after saving in here, you have to start the whole game all over again. I'd be more upset if they didn't warn you earlier, but it's still worthy of a sit. What's the point of giving us PK Starstorm Omega if it doesn't do much to most enemies at the end of the game and we're already to the point of no return? I don't see exactly what the point of having the face disorder not being able to send life forms into the past, other than making us think of 12-year-olds getting their heads cut open and giving us these boxed robot forms which we won't even see much of since we're spending most of the next level in battle where we can't see ourselves. How does Pokey recognize us? I mean, yeah, there's our hat, but there are other hats like it. If I may make a confession, I hate Pokey, even as a villain. I don't care where they were going with him. I personally don't like him because he's much more obnoxious and annoying than intimidating. You say you're terrified too, but you don't act terrified. If you're playing a pirated version of this game, your game will crash right here and all your save progress will be erased. I understand it's done to punish the people who have pirated copies, but that's still a pretty harsh punishment. And here begins one of the creepiest boss fights, as well as one of the most unique setups for an RPG boss. But this part of the song, which is mostly just one note, gets somewhat annoying. Pokey was somehow casting a shadow above thin air, so it's classic villain stupidity by telling us what we need to do. Idiot. So are our prayers being sent forward in time? And how are they affecting past Gigas from the present? This is the part that caused a lot of people to get seizures, and some probably even died from that. And for that, I'm gonna have to add 50 cents. You still have to keep praying, even though your next prayer gets absorbed by the darkness, so you'll think it won't work anymore and that you'll have to fight him like normal, even though the next prayer is going to do it. How are we supposed to know that? And now our spirits float back to our bodies because the game demands it. You mean Pooh could have taught us this cool teleport spell that could have made teleporting so much easier? I'm not sure you would have been much help against Gigas. Well, I've been a jerk to this game, but this is a very heartwarming and romantic moment. This is one of the songs I removed since we're earlier in the video, but I'm sending it because everyone in the world had to use this song when honoring Satoru Iwata's death. I don't mean to come off as someone who doesn't respect the fact that he died, but there are plenty of other sad Nintendo songs people could have used. Unwavering Emotions from Pokemon Black and White, Sorrow from Xenoblade Chronicles.
I miss you.
Aito's friend was a jerk to him by recording him saying that for the credits without him knowing. What, you think I'm joking? Look it up. Ending on a very similar note to how it began, even though there's really no reason to, cliché. Game leaves us on a cliffhanger for a game that still isn't released in America yet. Stupid Nintendo of Japan.